We might have. That was pretty.
Oh, well, no, we got the bowl. Yeah, we got to a bowl. That's a good year.
Yeah, exactly. You guys have had some.
I need to end up being
Yeah,
here all day.
Did.
Oh,
No, I didn't make it this year. I was that last year? Years ago?
Yeah. Nice seeing you today.
Good for you.
I went to work.
Right.
Good. Yeah, I grew up in Tampa.
Oh, right
A
on.
little bit north of Tampa.
Yeah.
Wesley Chapel. So
Okay.
11 years.
Okay.
Yeah, well, my wife. So I.
We see who won that one. Huh?
Yeah.
Smart guy, buddy. Smart guy.
Disney wasn't moving to Tampa, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Good seeing you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great to be here.
Yep.
Did you introduce yourself?
I did.
You did. Okay. Great name. Intros.
Yep.
Did you want my steal? Better not.
I want to keep my hand. I need my hand.
Thank you.
When you guys leave. I thought I'd heard to see you go. Good plan. Where you guys all from?
So, in Dallas, well, actually, Beth and I are in Dallas and Carl's in Austin. Yeah, so we've been in Florida.
Where you come from?
In Plano?
Wherever you come from.
Yeah.
Is it cold?
What is it?
Is it cold? Like it was yesterday
Even
here?
here, yeah. But it's here.
So then,
Yeah.
what the cold weather was.
Did you want it or not? If you wanted it, we brought it. If you didn't, then it wasn't on.
One day was a night. Winter is not now.
Yeah, admittedly, it was a lot chillier here than I expected.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
It was a blanket on the front porch this morning.
Yeah.
Shorts underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not what I expected.
My neighbor came across the street with a heavy wool coat and gloves, and I went.
Your neighbor just wanted to wear it at one time.
He said,
Yes,
he
yes.
said,
Had it all
they
year.
moved from
Yeah.
Michigan. That's exactly right.
Oh, he's.
Got it out of story. He's from Michigan.
I
I
know.
am.
Oh, I'm from Indiana.
I'm from Indiana. Down by Louisville, Kentucky. A little town called Lloyd's Knobs.
Boys. Now.
Yep, down by New Albany. You know where New Albany is, right across the river from Louisville? Yeah.
Right south of Gary.
Yeah.
But I feel fine. And good evening, everybody. Today is Wednesday, November 20th. It is 6:01. And this is the Celebration Residential Owners Association meeting for the month of November. Lauren, has the meeting been properly noticed? It was properly noted. And we do have a quorum. Bill, are you on again?
I am.
Okay. Bill's here as well as Jared online. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the meeting to order. Probably all of 6:02 by now. Okay, we have owner's comments. It's the first thing on the agenda. So the first person is Linda Fulton. Here you are. Oh, there she is.
Do I just stand here?
Come on up. We want everybody to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Andy.
She's excited.
I see this.
Okay, here we go. All right. So I'm a regular swimmer, daily swimmer at Spring Park Pool. Of course, we've had issues over there, so I had to go over to Lakeside Pool, which is great facilities, guys. But there is an issue, and that is there's 3 parking spaces, 1 handicap space, and 6 have the Duke Energy electric cars. All right. So of course I just had Thanksgiving. My 4 little grandchildren were with me. I'm dragging them from past the tennis courts to the pool with all their gear. And I took pictures of the cars that were getting their charge. None of them were residents. And then I found out that it's not just for residents, it's for anybody. So they're coming into our neighborhood, especially when it says, residents only, and they're using our parking spaces. Those are prime spaces, guys. Anyway, yes.
You're talking about Lakeside.
Lakeside pool, 6 of them, guys. And I've never seen them completely full, but I've never seen one of our little tags either.
Mhm.
So I don't know where they're coming from. And one person said that they actually saw a woman. She was walking her dog. She's doing her fancy car, walking the dog. The dog poops and didn't even pick it up. Okay, really, they don't care about us. So that's my beef. And I'm wondering how it ever got there. I mean, how did we get to that place? And would electric vehicles get charged on the public streets, not where, we have an amenity right there? That's our biggest
story.
It's a long story.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm
My
bringing
time.
it to your attention because all of us
Yes.
morning swimmers now are over there most of the time now. And we're like, what is this?
We're working on it. Working on it.
Okay, so it's being worked on.
Yeah.
Yay.
We
Thank
we
you.
hear you.
Okay, good.
Park there and ask them to give you a ticket. They won't give you a ticket. Park there.
Just park there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, guys.
Thanks, Linda. Nice seeing you. Okay, Jim Pinot.
Hello,
Hello.
how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Here on behalf of the Island Village residents, as usual. Want my name and address? I'm supposed to do
Yeah.
that, right? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
you can say it.
No, that's okay. Just driving over again. The bridge lights, 9 of them, have been out for 3, 4, 5 months on Celebration Boulevard. I just wonder if 9 lights were out somewhere else on Celebration Boulevard, would it take 6 months to get them fixed? I know this isn't a CROA issue, but any help would be well. The park that we have down there is getting used more. All the irrigation pipes are exposed because there hasn't been any pine straw put down. And there's a big block of concrete at one of the entrances where some construction vehicle probably broke a curb and it's just sitting there. So if that could be taken care of. The fitness center, which is another subject tonight, but cleaning and maintenance, especially of the equipment. I don't know if anybody's looked at the pre-core requirements, but if we don't maintain that equipment, it's going to cost a lot more to replace it than just try and keep it greased up. Corey sent an email on the landscaping, so I won't get into that. So I'm just going to talk about what I consider a completely ludicrous decision to eliminate the age limits at the IP Fitness Center. Or
What did you just say?
It's a ludicrous decision.
Ludicrous
to remove
decision.
The age restrictions. That's on the agenda
Right.
later.
That's a discussion, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that'll be a discussion later,
Mhm.
but I just want to cover a couple things. I talked to an individual at the Health Center Bureau of Compliance for the state of Florida. That's part of the Department of Agriculture. They cover all health fitness centers in the state of Florida. This woman said there is absolutely no discrimination restrictions on age limits. It is a safety issue, including the pre-core equipment in it says, quote, do not allow children on or near this equipment, supervise the use by individuals 13 to 17. Since these have been eliminated, I've seen 4 to 6-year-olds, 7 to 9-year-olds, 12-year-olds using all the equipment, not being supervised, and it is a safety issue.
Has it been eliminated? They're just not on the signs. I
There's
mean,
no,
still, you're not supposed to have access to the gym unless you're 12 years or older with your own ID. You would still have to sign the waiver. If parents are letting their younger kids in there on the equipment. Right, I've seen that. Yeah. And
You want to maybe we can talk about that in the discussion.
Yeah, but I just wanted to
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
that up.
no, just good. Just for us.
Yeah.
Later on.
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
And last we have Smithy.
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome all the Grand Manners people here tonight. I'm glad you guys are here, and we're going to have new discussions and talk about how we can make celebration better, because I know that's what everybody wants. I have three things to talk about tonight. The first one is the signs that were at Lakeside Park. I took them down, not because they Long Meadow Park. I took them down not because they were tacky, but because these were at the eye height of children and on the handrails of children. I'll start passing these around. I've highlighted in silver the pointy part, so everybody can see them. Pass those around down there.
The what kind of part? The pointy.
Where they cut the zip ties, they cut them sharp so they could poke out a kid's eye or a kid's hands. And my daughter's there all the time, so I took them down.
Oh, I see.
You know, I do appreciate the signs. I love what they say. And it is a problem with the older kids there knocking down the younger kids. I'm not sure a sign's going to help. We probably need a monitor. So that's the first thing. The second one would be at Long Meadow Park. I appreciate that we have equipment there to play on. The equipment is not as good as the old equipment. The swing set, when you swing on it, swings in towards each other, so the kids hit each other at the end. I don't know how they can on a straight line, but they do. The grass, you can see all the lines were put down and it pulls up. And it's just not as nice of equipment. Like those cricket things are already broken over there. So we may need to look into getting nicer equipment there that won't break as easily or something, and some more equipment. We're missing a couple of pieces that were there before. The last thing I wanted to mention, since we do have a new group tonight with us, is on the sign itself, which is really nice here on our signs. We've got the town seal. On the town seal, you know, our founders wanted us to remember things that are on the seal. The main thing on here is a child on a bike and a dog, you know. So we need to remember the things that are most dear to us as families, our children and our pets. And remember that while some of these things like the sign was good intentions, the zip ties were not. And just think through those things a little more as we're putting them out. So again, appreciate all you guys' good intentions. Sorry I had to take your signs down. I just didn't want anybody getting hurt, but I brought them back tonight for you. Thanks a lot. Now I'm going to Santa and the train. That's where my daughter wants.
What's on the back of those?
Oh, it's a spooky soiree. If you'd like to go, it's a couple months ago.
Recycling.
Look forward to hearing what you guys do tonight.
Is there anybody else who didn't sign in that they wanted to speak and would like to speak? Why not? You need to give us your address because the first three people were regular, so we know who they are.
Oh,
Name and address.
fairly is the Island Village.
Mhm.
7504 Estuary Lakewood. I just kind of have a question. The sidewalk, who's responsible for that? Because there's like footsteps on them. Is that Matame still in charge of that?
The deed to CDD yet?
It depends on which sidewalk it is. It's either
Exactly.
Mattingly or
It's
CDD.
new.
I don't believe that
I don't think CDD is
CCDD
fully
has
taken over.
anything over in residences.
Yeah, because
So
the
it's
back
not-
alley where the garbage goes, they supposedly repaved it, but right behind where my garage is, it fills with water. And I've been
That's Mattingly. Yeah.
between Matame and Matame is like with the people who are in charge of the paving, and it's still a mess. So I don't know who's responsible for that.
What's your
It's
address?
7504 Estuary Lakewood. Thank you for bringing up the gym. It's filthy. So do we not have a maintenance guy anymore? Used to be someone in the morning, but filthy. And then the lights of the bridge. I think that was it. That's the few things that I wanted to address.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody online with any comments? Anybody?
Nobody stands up.
Nobody stands up? Okay. Before we get into the meat of the meeting, adopting the agenda and all that good stuff, like Smithy mentioned that we have some new faces with us as well as some old faces. So we'll start, everybody knows Lauren, of course. This is Jeff's, third meeting with us?
Yes.
Jeff Request, he's our new community manager. And then we have Jennifer Rowe, she's our accountant. And then we have Stacy Titleman. Stacy Titleman, who's the executive vice president for Brand Manners. And then sitting behind me, we have Tim Hayes. He is the COO. Then we have Carl Liebert. He's the interim CEO. And then we have Jeff Fulmer, who's the CCO. And are you Real Manage?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the parent company to Grand Manners. They're here visiting with us today. Did I miss anybody?
Chad Baird.
Yes, from Vigilant.
Yes.
From Vigilant. He's joining us today. Any other special guests? No.
Mitri.
Oh, Mitri. I told you to sit up here.
I know.
Mitri is Fair. He's the Fair, right?
Yeah.
He's the vice president. So he's Lauren's boss. So he's also with us today. So welcome everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
You forgot Jose.
Hmm?
You forgot Jose.
Everybody knows Jose. His face is everything. Yeah, Roscoe there. And Jose, he's our IT guy. So, okay. Adopt the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So move.
Do I have a second? Anybody? 1 second. Discussions.
I wanted to, consent agenda A4, approval of the 2024 election timeline. Just in looking at that, it looks like it's not fully baked. There were some questions on there.
It's not fully what?
Fully baked. Baked.
Oh, baked.
Baked.
It's in a pie.
Yeah,
Okay.
it looks like they're going to speak for them. Not fully baked. It looks like we needed to look at some February. There were some questions around like forums or open houses. So I
Yes.
think we need to get some. So I would propose to move that to action.
I also would like to move number 3 to an action item. Because I have some questions. I had some questions.
Chairs, dog park.
Mhm. Yeah, chairs and dog park.
So what do we want?
So we'll move them to 1 and 2 so we don't forget.
1A, 1B.
And then 1 is 1C.
Make them the first 2 items
Yeah.
under action.
Any other changes, suggestions?
Can I request to take something out of order because a member of the Parks and Rec Committee wants to be here present
Okay.
to address their 2 items on here? And she has to leave early.
One more thing, do we need to, appoint a playground liaison? Or do we, no, yes?
Why do we have to? Do we have to?
No, we've got Jeffrey now.
We have Jeffrey.
Okay, then let's leave it.
Which numbers, Lauren?
Numbers
Number 6,
6 and 7, I'd just like to take them out of order so she can address them before she has to leave.
6 and 7.
address them earlier.
Yeah, move them ahead of the consent agenda.
Okay, so the
Oh.
first,
Okay. So 6 and 7 come before the consent agenda, and then we'll do the consent agenda, and then we'll go to the regular action.
Action required 1, consent agenda action required 2. Is that how we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions, suggestions, changes? Yeah, we're moving, okay, so to recap, we're moving number 3 and 4 from the consent agenda to items, they'll become items 1A and 1B under the regular action required agenda. And then we're moving action items 6 and 7 to before the consent agenda. So we're going to do 2 action items, 2 consent agenda items, and then the rest will all be action items. So we have a motion by David, second by Celia, all in favor? To
Aye.
accept the,
with those
Jennifer,
adjustments. With those adjustments.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Next we have the approval of the board minutes from October 25th. Have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Thank you, Jared.
I'll second.
And Celia, second. Discussion? Laura, I did ask about the meeting minutes from the, what was it, the 9th of November?
Eldonia worked on them today. They'll be on your next meeting.
Okay, great. Normally, we don't take formal minutes at a workshop, but in this case, there were actual action items at the workshop, so we do need minutes of those, but we'll look at them the next meeting we have. Okay, any other questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, moving on. Financials.
Hello, Jen.
Hello, good evening.
What good news do you have for us?
We had great news for October. October ended with an $11,000 surplus. Yay! Year to date is a $216,000 deficit, but we're right on track with most of that being, of course, the 851 building repairs that we did at the beginning of the year. In October, we did have several maintenance items that were taken care of, that were paid for, including the air quality testing that was done here. The dog park had some gates and fountain repairs. Some tools were purchased for all the benches that have been refinished, that sort of thing. Our fund balance is currently in operating is 2.4 million. In reserves is right at 2 million, and capital is at 3.3 million. Any questions?
Anybody questions on the financials?
What drove the gas oil travel? The 135% over budget?
Something with the vehicle repair, I believe it was. Does that sound right?
Yeah. The gas oil travel over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1958 actual, 833 projected. Still quite $1,100.
That year to date or this month?
Just for the month.
That's for the month.
Yeah, was there something spike? I know it's.
There was quite a few things out in Island Village that they were
Okay.
utilizing it for, and I know they had to drive the truck to the car dealership a couple of times, which is quite a ways away.
Okay.
Makes sense.
That's all.
And just for everybody's general information, we can't use the NEVs to drive to Island Village, so they have to use a truck. So, okay. Having nothing else, we'll move on to the management update. Are you doing that first this month, Jeffrey?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Next.
Okay. Lauren?
The new resident services coordinator started, the new lifestyle manager started. We have the resident services manager that an offer was made. She starts next week. We have 2 part-time parking pool monitors that we have not filled all year, and those are being removed in the 2024 budget. So they're just outstanding vacancies that we're holding. Town Hall, this project is on hold, waiting MPEG result. The playgrounds, it's on the board meeting agenda today, and there have been weekly updates in the Monday Matters. The CCFC fields, the complete project or the complete field overhaul for the 2 fields or potentially both fields. Their drawings are at 60 to 90%. We're waiting on irrigation drawings to be added to the drainage plans. And then we can put the RFP together and go out to bid. The hope is that we will be doing work in the, Nikki, correct me, March, April timeframe. April, May timeframe, so we don't impact our partner programs usage of the fields. Right now, Prince and Sons are doing their overseeding and top dressing of the 2 grass fields pursuant to their scope of work. So it's no additional cost to the residents. It's part of our standard maintenance contract with them. Spring Park soil erosion. The first phase of that was completed. They presented a change order for an additional 2,000 pounds of polyfoam to complete the stabilization project. That's on your agenda tonight. The maintenance team has filled the holes that are existing out there so we could open the pool in time for Thanksgiving weekend. But there'll still be some pool deck aesthetics that we need to address after it's done. Island Village, Jeff and I walked and saw the landscaping issues. I actually just approved bids to address the bulk of those issues today from Brian Causey. So those will get rolling soon. The vendor list, Jeff and Donna have been working on increasing our vendor list. So we have more GCs, roofers, painters, you name it, on a list that we can go to since we've been struggling with getting vendors. Covenants and ARC have been busy. 224 initial inspections over the last month, 448 re-inspections, and 35 resales. 189 first letters were issued in the last month. ARC processed 112 total applications, with 89 online approvals, 12 online disapprovals, 5 meeting approvals, and 6 meeting disapprovals. Residents were 1,880 residents were assisted in person. 2,016 phone calls were answered and 2,000 emails were responded to over the last month. Gross sales at the logo store of $10,365. Here's your seller service ticket completion rates. They have been improving. You'll see the bulk of them are standard maintenance items. Okay, sorry. We have added Exquisite and Prince & Sons into seller service so they can respond to tickets themselves. Exquisite has a large portion assigned to them, Prince & Sons fewer, and a good chunk are the service areas as well. And then there's some CROA items in there. Operations, they completed a large number of projects. They're still working on the bench refinishing. They just pulled some more of the Long Meadow benches for those to go through the refinishing project. There are some Long Meadow benches that are missing and those were ordered, so we can replace those.
Missing as in somebody walked off with them?
No, they were broken and just, we needed to replace.
Are those ones around the playground?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
IT, they've been working on with the tech committee on the key card access initiative, the website rebuild, video conferencing. GoGov training is prepped and was sent to the CDD for commentary for their rollout. We're waiting for them to provide us guidance on when and how they want to roll that out. ONR, we're getting ready to roll out, still working on a number of other programming. The EV chargers at Lakeside, those are being addressed through the tech committee, and I think they're close to kind of a resolution on that one, so we should see that soon. Parks and Rec is busy with Kids Night Out and Tinsels and Teenies coming up. Just held some dog park workshops. Lifestyles has food truck, holiday fest, and the concert. And in the last month, we had Spooky Soiree, Founders, Veterans, and the movie night, which was postponed. Service Areas has been working on a number of projects, especially relating to landscaping and prepping 3 RFPs for large paint projects next year.
That's it. Is that all? I'm being facetious. I know the list goes on and on and on. Those are the highlights. Anybody have any questions for one, David?
So I have two questions. One that dovetails something you just said, and the weekly management thing that you report that you send to us, and the others from the management report. The one that's dovetailing both, and I know I'll sound like a broken record, but it's with covenants. If I heard you right, over the last month, there were 200 and some, whatever it was, new inspections over a month. So with the contractual piece, I know I said this at the workshop, of doing a quarterly inspection of each home, that would be about 1,000 every, if I'm doing it right, that would be like 1,500 every month. And so 200 new inspections versus 1,500 seems like a mismatch. So I'm concerned about that. I think covenants is a big, inspections is a big deal.
It is a big deal, and it's something that we've been really emphasizing. Jeff is creating a training program for the inspectors. We have 3 inspectors that are dedicated to CROA. Really just pure numbers game. You need 4 inspectors to hit all of those doors in a quarter. You did authorize another inspector in the budget for 24, so that will help. The other piece is the fully manual.
I know that's part of what we're going to talk about later.
So the other piece is the fully manual process. They're They're printing, stuffing, mailing all of the envelopes. And if we push on all of those inspections, we're gonna drown the administrative support staff in paperwork that they're not gonna be able to process in time for those inspections to be valid.
Okay. And I know there's a sub piece. Historically, there's been fewer to no inspections during the holiday season. That's just been a tradition or a policy or an ad hoc policy.
We only do major, well, the policy that has been in place is we only do major inspections in December because we don't send out violations in December.
Right.
So from the last week of November to the end of December, we're not really doing full
Regular inspections.
inspections.
You're looking for egregious things.
They're catching up on old violations and ARC inspections that they have to.
Resales and stuff like that.
Who's actually processing the covenant staff are actually stuffing the envelopes?
Manually.
So they're being taken out of actually doing the covenants work and they're doing administrative.
So there's two administrative support staff for covenants and ARC, and then their manager that are all handling that backlog. And when they get buried in paperwork, then some of the inspectors do help.
But that seems to be a major process inefficiency. And we're losing covenant inspector time. That's a quick win that we
It's kind
can.
of like using maintenance to do cleaning,
Right.
That's not their. That's
which is what we're doing now.
We hired more administrators, or we find better processes for dealing those for automating. So
So I'll ask again, I think we discussed it with the covenants committee quite a few times. And they will agree that they wanted to meet with the inspectors so that they can so that they could come together, because a lot of times at the covenants meetings, the committee members are having a hard time understanding what the inspectors are explaining. So if they meet as a group, I think the three meetings they've requested it.
That's gonna be part of that's gonna
Part of
be
the
a
action
major
plan.
part of the
Okay,
training.
just want to
Training
make sure
program.
that that's getting addressed.
So the other item, again, from your weekly report, just to help clarify, working on the 2024 sponsorship welcome packets and then promo booklets. So I don't know if a welcome packet is what a new resident gets. Okay, so my suggestion there, if you haven't already done it, is I know there was a lot of work about 2 years ago, which ended up in the joint initiative with the Celebration Foundation, CDD, and CROA, Community Connections. And then when Grand Manners came in, there was a separate parallel new resident orientation. I would hope all the learnings that came from that collaboration and those discussions can be folded into a new resident welcome packet, because what has existed is basically just a retooling of whatever was there before. So I just think it needs a total revamp. Maybe dovetail that back again. This is part of the action plan that Stacy will talk about later. Not with a welcome piece, but going back to what the communications advisory group said. Just thinking about revamping, what is it for the welcome packet? What can that look like? So again, some major retooling, I think, would be in order. That's all I had. Thank you for all your thoroughness.
2 questions. The legal services RFP, has that been put to market?
I'm just finalizing it now.
Okay, so that's one. So that'll be on the January.
I hope so.
Okay, and then the number of the traffic who's visited town hall. Is there? Do we need to start looking at Saturday again? Do you think we're at the point where have we gotten any? Has there been noise about it? Have there been?
I personally have not heard any noise about it. I haven't seen emails into the Sarah mailbox, and I haven't gotten commentary from the staff that they've heard complaints about it. They have minimal foot traffic on Thursday and Tuesday evenings. I mean, if you guys are hearing.
Yeah, I'm asking. I don't know if there's. We don't need people there. There's, not a need for it, but just something to, keep our finger on the pulse of. So just wanted to.
Yeah, if we start hearing an uptick of we need Saturdays open, we're happy to talk about it again.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Lauren. Committee and partner updates, committees. What's the start?
I'll start.
Okay.
Well, Lauren mentioned in her, the management report about special events. They had dually pianos, they had 500 attendees. The Spooky Soiree brought in well over 1,500 people. And Founders Day, they did an awesome job. That was a great event. And there was between 700 and 1,000 residents there. That's it for that. They have,
Can I stop you right there?
come on.
So I went to the, with the, with the phone notes, but that's not who it was. With the lights. There was some kind of a mist coming off that thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's what, but I was coughing like 2 days after that. Like I inhaled that, whatever that was, I inhaled it. And yeah, I wasn't like sick, but it just seemed like something settled in my lungs. I'm just putting that out there. I don't know what it was or if that was the cause of it, but.
You sat in the back, didn't you? Well, it was a good show.
Oh, yeah, it was a wonderful show. Yeah, it was a wonderful show. I really enjoyed it, but just something to maybe think about, I guess. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay. They have their, the Super Mario Brothers is gonna be rescheduled for January food truck. They have the Holiday Fest coming up. They have the Holiday Concert that was relocated from the community fields to Lakeside, which I think is really gonna be great. Pups and Pints is coming up in January, and the father-daughter dance is gonna be themed as the Enchanted Garden, and that's gonna be moved to Lakeside, so that's gonna be beautiful. They do really a great job, the Special Events Committee. On the service area, Roseville did not have enough residents to vote for their committee. I'm not sure about Island Village, Lauren. Did they have
Their committee, they had enough votes. They have a committee. They're holding their election now for their committee representatives.
what they?
It's ongoing and I don't know when it closes. It
Okay.
closes in the next week or so, I think.
Okay. What else? Technology, since I'm the technology liaison, John's here to talk about that. Do you want, John, do you want to come up and talk about that now, or do you want to wait?
We can wait for when it comes up.
Okay.
For Gallagher.
Okay.
I do want to say, Celia, thank you. Celia's been now appointed as the liaison technology committee. She came out, her and I met for well over an hour. We had a fantastic conversation. She cares. So I do appreciate that.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you, John.
Excellent.
That's it.
That's it. David, you don't have a committee. And I saw Kathleen walk in, so you don't have any, do you have anything to say? Okay.
Not right now.
Okay. Charles?
I wasn't able to go to the 20th meeting, and I think Mickey's coming up to talk.
And one
Yeah.
of the committee chairs.
All right, I'm gonna defer to them. I
Okay.
think what they have to cover is probably the most relevant for what they've been doing. And it makes it the time.
Jared? You want to say something about your?
The finance committee has not met since the last board meeting, so there's no update on finance. That meeting is next Tuesday. It just got shifted a week. It was supposed to be yesterday, but it got shifted a week. And the dog park committee has stopped the use of Roundup until a pet-friendly product can be found. So that's something that is a high level of concern right now, and something that I know everybody is working on. Brian's working on that, and Danny and Lauren are aware of that. So that's the update from the dog park committee. Pups and Pints is January 20th. And the events, the dog park behavior and hands-on training session were successful in both the big park and the big dog park and the small dog park. So they're going to put those together as future events as well.
Right.
And those are my
Yeah.
updates.
Thank you, Jared.
Cindy, can I make one comment with the dog park?
Sure.
Our pet owners, we got notifications today that the respiratory virus going around with pets that's incurable right now. And I don't know if the dog park committee has discussed that, but dog owners are very concerned over that.
Are you aware of that, Lauren?
I have not gotten notice about
There's-
it.
Yeah, our celebration vet just let us know today.
Yeah.
There's no
There's-
cure for it.
Yeah, they don't even know what it is.
That information.
Yeah, I'll say.
Okay.
It's been on the news.
Yeah.
They don't
Those are
know
not- we should
what
do
it
that.
causes,
They don't know what it is. There's no cure.
whether it's
for it.
viral or bacterial.
Says no dog parks, number one thing. Stay out
I
of
did
the
hear,
dog
my
park.
girlfriend did a lot of research on it. It's, unfortunately, it's transmittable dog to dog, you know, like if they touch noses or something like that, it's not, they don't think it's airborne. They think you have to have contact, but the purpose of taking dogs to dog parks is so they can have contact
Yeah.
with other dogs. So, that's probably something we need to look into.
Thanks, John.
Charles, did you get to go, has there been a CCDD meeting recently?
Yeah, they canceled the November meeting, I believe, so I'll pick it back up in December.
All righty, Covenants Committee, ARC, Bill? Bill?
Yep.
ARC
Art,
committee?
we had the meeting, there was 11 houses for discussion. Most of the items were approved. One of them we just discussed at the earlier meeting at 4:30 about the paint colors. And a few people were referred for further discussion with either one of the architects or with Rosie for help with interpreting how to proceed.
That it?
Yeah.
Okay. I also followed up within the last couple days, there's been some revisions to the guidelines that have been sent to the ARC committee. The Covenants Committee obviously is concerned and would like to take a look at those. So I'm trying to figure out how to speed that process along a little bit. So that's kind of a concern of the Covenants Committee, and I'm sure ARC as well. But we need those guidelines updated. We're working on that.
Oh, I forgot to say something.
Too bad.
But just that the master plan advisory group had their first meeting or second meeting. Jared, do you have anything to say about that?
No, you can go ahead and give the recap on that.
Well, it was a good meeting, and we were going to schedule a tour of the community. They're understanding that this is a lot of work, and it's a good group, and hopefully we'll get something done. Okay.
So I'm assuming this building's gonna be their priority?
We're not saying anything.
Oh, not saying anything.
They're taking the lead.
Okay. Fingers crossed. Okay, so now we're to the action item. So we are going to move. Oh, I'm sorry, Kathleen. Where are you? I saw you walk in.
I see her
Look
hand.
for the
Oh,
red,
there
look
she
for the
is.
red hat.
She is. Sorry about that. I've been sitting here staring at foundation, and then I go right over you.
Somebody else back there with a hand?
Yes, yeah,
Not a red one.
yeah. Well, good evening. I'm Kathleen Scipio. I'm the Executive Director of the Celebration Foundation. And I have quite a bit to be grateful for at the most giving time of the year, and I wanted to share it with all of you. So, I don't know if you heard some unfortunate news recently about the Salvation Army. They recently experienced a traumatic event that destroyed their building, where they host daily meals, daily showers, a food pantry for the people in Osceola County that need it the most. Every year, the Celebration Foundation gives $5,000 in all the gift cards at Thanksgiving. And so we called them right away when we heard and offered that. And then we also had a very generous supporter, Kathy and Bruce Carlson, who matched us in $5,000. So the Salvation Army is receiving $10,000, and we have signed up to serve food in the tents. We haven't gotten our date yet, but you will know because I'm going to need a lot of hands to help. The Bookmark Buddies program serves 6 schools in Osceola County, and a Celebration resident wanted those children to receive a special gift during the holidays, and it's called a Bookmark Buddy Bear. I happen to have some with me tonight. This is no ordinary teddy bear. I'll read the tag. Hi, I'm a Bookmark Buddy Bear. Being my friend and hugging me makes me happy. However, I only feel loved when you read to me. Let's read together. The purpose of these fairs is during the holiday break, they want the students to keep reading because they're reading once a week with their mentors for 30 minutes in order to get up to the third grade reading level. This celebration resident happens to be my relative, Jacqueline Scipio. She's a sophomore at UF. Go Gators, wherever you are. And so we'll be giving them out this week. The Celebration Foundation also supported, I don't know if you watched the Thanksgiving Day Parade that goes on in New York every Thanksgiving Day. But 4 students from the Celebration High School Sound of the Storm Marching Band, all trumpet players, all boys, reached their fundraising goal to participate in the Macy's Great American Marching Band this year. And the foundation helped them get to the finish line or to the airport by donating $2,600. Told you we got a lot to be grateful for. The students with the families in transition at Celebration K-8, the guidance counselor reached out to us recently because there was a scholastic book fair, and those 2 students typically stay in the classroom and they can't go down and shop for books. So the Celebration Foundation gave them money to purchase books during the scholastic book fair. And in addition, we gave them $20 each to purchase holiday gifts for their loved ones in the PTA-sponsored holiday shop. Every season, the Celebration Foundation partners with Madamy's Homes to fulfill 70s children living in backlot apartments on 192 to make their holiday wishes come true. This year, the foundation will also give each family a $25 gift card to Aldi. And I think you all know what's going on this weekend because it's the first weekend in December and it happens every year. It's the Holiday Home Tour and Winter Wonderland. Every year we give 1 free holiday home tour ticket to every teacher at Celebration K-8, Celebration High School, and now Island Village. And I'm very pleased to say we have 9 stops prepared, decorated, and ready with 250 volunteers, over 200 baskets donated by community residents. We have trees, tablescapes, sponsors, and homeowners. So we are ready. I am grateful for everything that the community volunteers do in the town of Celebration. You inspire myself and everyone on the foundation team, Janet, Becky, Michelle, and myself to do more in 2024. But we could not do it without all of you. We're grateful for CROA. We're grateful for Grand Manners, Nikki, Jose, Amber, Liz, Lauren, all you do for our community to make it a better place. Happy holidays. Gosh, I forgot to say, Zoe Tyler, we have a local artist, the concert December 15th. You gotta come see Zoe sing.
Okay, thank you. I like when you come, Kathleen, because I don't know that a lot of the community realizes how much you do for the people in need, especially in the community and the kids. So
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much. Okay. That being said, now we can move on to the number 6 and 7 action items that we're moving up. So that's the first one is the motion to approve the 2024 community definitions, designations, and usage fees as recommended by the Recreation Committee. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Discussion?
I have several comments, and I'm going to end up suggesting that this whole thing be tabled. So I will vote to not approve it tonight because I think it needs significant work. What we're looking at on that was the definitions of groups. And I know it's a good effort. But one thing that concerns me a tremendous amount is seeing something, and I don't like the label, civic and service groups. But when you have groups like the foundation, that when we look at the prior list, the current list, they're priority 1, and now we're moving groups like that down to priority 3 below our partner programs. A group such as the foundation is one of the 3, as I understand it, historically, and maybe in early documents with the founding of Celebration, is one of the 3 core groups. And I think with that, it deserves a whole different designation. And to relocate it, and Kathleen only highlighted, what, 3 or 4 different initiatives? When you talk about fundraising and how much good it does for the surrounding community, as well as our own residents. She'll know the data as a liaison to the foundation board. I've heard, like, there's so many schools in Osceola County, and I may get it wrong, but like the foundation with their fundraising helps pay for pallets of food so that the youth in the schools, and maybe it could be half the schools or 40% of the schools in Osceola County, so the kids have food over the weekend when they go home. That's where the fundraising dollars go. And for us to move them to a 3rd priority and to charge other rates, I think negates the good that they're doing in the community. Again, I go back to the original founding documents of 25, 30 years ago, and I think that requires a very, very different designation. And I think this needs major rework, so I will not support this tonight until it gets reworked.
When you say the founding documents, which documents?
It's my understanding. I remember a lecture done by the original town manager.
A lecture, not a charter.
No, but he referenced that. And the part of the decision was to not bury the foundation doing good charitable works within CROA for fear it would be decimated. And in fact, that is what has been happening in the last 6 months with this board. We worked very hard to build a positive relationship, and that's getting ruined. And I will say that, and we can, someone can research where those documents are, but in fact, they are doing good work, and I think they deserve top priority, right beside CROA. That's
I
part of the direct.
I generally agree with David, but I have concerns about some of the language and some of the technical language as to criteria. Certainly one of the things that jumps out at me is the description saying they should have a 501c3. I think that's applied a little generously to groups that may not normally have it. If you've ever tried to get one, it's a long process to go apply for one because you get it through the IRS. And in addition, there are other nonprofit legal definitions, such as a 501c4, which somebody may have or somebody may prefer. There's also some state non-tax entities that are allowable under state law that are not necessarily IRS, but are still quite legitimate in this state. And I think there needs to be some flexibility added to that language, as well as other language. And certainly, since I've heard about Celebration, the description of the foundation was one of the initial vision issues associated with the development of the town of Celebration. And I agree with David, it may not fit any of the other categories, and I'm not sure it should, because the amount of good work they do far exceeds everybody else.
No one is arguing the good that the Celebration, and this is, you're honing in on the foundation. This exercise, and I want to hear from the committee and those and Nikki, the exercise was about equity. It wasn't honing in on the Celebration Foundation or one particular organization. It was ensuring that there's equity across all organizations and consistency in contracts and consistency in administration. And you're referencing a document that I don't think exists. Our documents are the charter, the bylaws. I have not heard of anything that says the Celebration Foundation, with all due respect, it is one of our organizations. And I respect everything they do. Kathleen comes up here every meeting and talks about all the good they do. I don't dispute that. They're a wonderful organization, a very charitable organization. But to say that they should be treated differently, and I'm going to invoke the code of conduct now, specifically around objectivity, Each board member shall act impartially and not give preferential treatment to any one group, organization, business, or individual.
Exactly.
How are we doing right now?
We're doing well.
We're not doing well. You're violating objectivity.
I don't think so.
I don't
You're
agree.
representing a
No,
non-existing.
I'm elected to represent the residents and what I think is in the best interest of the community.
You're representing what's in the best interest of the Celebration Foundation.
No,
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Yes,
How
you are.
about we hear from the
No
committee
discussion.
representative,
Yes.
so we can get some of the thought process behind what they did, and all the research that they
Okay.
did.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm on a very tight timeline. I have to leave in about 4 minutes.
We only get 3, so go ahead.
Great. So Victoria Sterry is our chair. My name is Lindsay Taylor. I'm on the committee. This is my 2nd year on the committee. I'm trying to speak on behalf of everyone, but I am not nearly as great at this as Victoria is, so I apologize in advance. I prepared just a few bullet points as this has been really something we've been working towards my entire time on the committee. We've been diving in for the last 6 months. So this has been a very long, drawn out process. Our goal for the entire process was to make things black and white and consistent across the board. Different committee members have been asked over the years how things work and why there seem to be different rules for different groups. We tried our best to create a framework that could pass the red face test when questioned by the community. After spending quite a bit of time working with the finance committee on establishing run rates, there was a clear definitive threshold when it came to money being paid by partner programs. By making a clear definitive line, our hope was to allow smaller programs to benefit from club status, while also not subsidizing businesses with homeowners' dues. Groups that fall under club status have the option to switch to partner programming status by paying the annual minimum for the year. Nothing is free. Either the partner program or club is paying for the space, or we as homeowners are subsidizing the cost. Who are we as a committee to say that one club or program brings more value to the community than another? Every single club and program bring value to the community, or we wouldn't partner with them in the first place. That is why we made things as black and white as we could. We are in a situation where there are currently more clubs and programs than space available, and with the addition of Island Village, the number is only going to increase. And that's while the 851 building is open. When the building is eventually closed for repairs, we're going to feel the squeeze even more. We currently have 28 partner programs, 13 civic groups, 4 support groups, so it's 17 clubs in total, which means we have 45 groups operating through town hall every month. The current clubs get 2 hours free per month, so we're giving away 26 free hours per month. I believe right now, is it more than that? This is what we're proposing.
Yeah.
So where our goal is to create a framework. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be this person fits under here. We're just trying to at least establish what can be consistent, what can be black and white, and then go from there. It's not every time we thought we had it figured out, there'd be another wrinkle thrown in. None of these groups are run the same. None of them are the same. None of them offer the same things to the community. We have a soccer team that is a nonprofit. We have a flag football team that doesn't charge any entry fees at all. And their kids go and wait tables at Logan's to get their entry fees paid for. We have some that are operated as business. Full disclosure, I own X Factor Dance, which is a partner program in this town. That's why I'm on this committee, because my goal was to try to make it fair and clear across the board. We're not even in town hall right now because we can't be. So I don't know if we'll ever be able to come back into town hall, but my goal was to try to make the community better for everyone else. So I now have to leave. Nikki is a great resource. We've spent hours on this, and I hope we can figure out a way to make it black and white.
Thank you. Nikki, you want to add something?
I have something else to add.
Do you need to say it before Nikki speaks, or do you want to?
Not going.
Go ahead, Nick.
I was just tying off of what Lindsay said. We have been working on this since June of early this year. Just being the Parks and Recreation manager and reviewing previous recreation committees beforehand. This has always been a concern of we've been receiving audits or records requests, I'm sorry, in regards to tennis. Are they paying properly? As far as clubs, we have some clubs that are complimentary, so we've been given the rooms for free. We're like Lindsay said, we're just trying to be fair across the board. We're not trying to target any specific club. Working with the committee, listening to what they had to say. Like Lindsay said, there's over 45 groups. They're all different groups. So it will take years to go through all of this if you're going to prioritize each group, Because I understand what the foundation does. I understand what the garden club does. I understand what X Factor Dance does. They're all different. As perfect example for our recreation partner programs, we have some groups that pay flat rates right now. Some pay 20%. Some pay $10 per participant, $5 a participant. There's so many different billing per se. We're just trying to make it fair and simple across the board.
And I will say that this is something that was drastically apparent, my first month here. Tennis was a hot topic, soccer was a hot topic, swimming was a hot topic, and it was evident that there were different handshake deals or agreements that were made throughout the years with these groups, whether they were athletic groups, civic groups, clubs, what have you, that everybody had a special deal. So this was one of the things that Nikki and I talked about as kind of a priority after getting those other 3 RFPs out that were done last year for those groups that we did, to make sure that there was a framework that was equitable, that could be placed overarchingly across the board. Nothing's going to be perfect that we put into place. There's always going to be exceptions to the rule. And of course, the board can always approve an exception if somebody requests that. But we need something where it's a little more about black and white. It's easier for Nikki's team, and it's something not necessarily easy, but it's something that Nikki's team can fall back on and say, these are the rules and reasons why we are applying this set of conditions on your program.
And also, just from contract administration perspective, you're not going to have civic, you're going to have partner, whereas right now it's just, as I understood when we were in these meetings, you have each group has their own, whatever the handshake agreement was, it's impossible to figure out as what. So it's a nightmare just to administer that on the back end. Point of this, and we talked about this when we first set this up, was to streamline that, make sure everyone has the same contract, but terms and conditions, they're consistent. So this was an exercise, not just with the committee for several months, but management. And finance committee was also in on these meetings too. We had extensive talks with them about what these models look like. So,
so we have a committee that fully supports this. We have management that fully supports this, and we have a motion and a second. Can we call for a vote?
Well, I was going to give, I read through the documents for the number 6 here. And it seems to me that so many of those categories overlap. And, you're saying that there's nothing, that everyone is different. It's not easy to categorize all these, and I understand that. Which makes me wonder if maybe the format of this should be a little bit, or the criteria should be a little bit different, and almost like a score sheet. Are you a charitable organization? And if you are, you get a point for that, or a 0, depending how you work the scale. Are you for profit? And then whatever the total is, maybe it falls into something. But just looking at this, I had a lot of questions on how you arrived at some of the categories for some of these things. I wouldn't feel comfortable voting on this today. I mean, I would like more time to look over it. Let it.
We have
digest.
a motion and a second, so we have to vote.
I'm talking. Everybody else is giving their opinion. I'm giving mine. Thank you.
I'm just clarifying that we can't not vote on it.
I didn't say we're not going to vote. We're discussing.
Bill had a point too.
And Bill had another point that he wanted to bring up. This is just part of the discussion. I'm just saying that I actually did read through this. I needed a magnifying glass to read more mental notes. A lot of times it's hard to read these things that have so much information. I am.
No, I don't, just keep it germane to the argument, not the text, please, just so we can move on.
I can't believe we're telling each other how to talk.
I'm just saying.
Right. So anyway, that was my concern with this. Bill, did you have another comment to make before we vote?
Yes, I just want to make one observation. Is that financial equity, I think, is an excellent objective here. But as far as the foundation goes, if we're taking money for services from the foundation, that leaves them with less money to provide services to the community. So it's a transfer of funds to us at what expense to the greater community.
Are you on the CROA board or are you on the foundation board? Whose budget and whose accountability do you have?
I didn't turn off my brain because I joined the board. I get to think and I get to have.
Board is who we have responsibility toward, not the foundation's board. If you'd like to
I
join
am
the
not
foundation.
worried about the foundation board. Frankly, I'm worried about the children. Apparently, you're not.
Okay, guys, Nikki has one more thing if you'll permit. Go ahead, Nick.
So back in 2017, there was a recreation task force that was created. We actually kind of went off of that recreation program plan with a community group usage fee. But per that usage fee, I believe it was page 34, it did state that the Celebration Foundation was considered a civic and service group. And on that page 8, its civic and service group was priority number 3. So priority 1 would be considered celebration government. So CROA board meeting associated program is your recreation partner programs, and civic and service group would be the Celebration Foundation. And I do want to let you know, number 3 was the hardest discussion that we did have at that recreation committee.
And I appreciate, that it's difficult to, like I said, in reading it. So anybody else have any comments, discussion on this before we vote?
I just think this needs further development.
Well, let's vote on Jared and Charles' motion. All in favor?
Motion to approve.
Opposed?
Nay.
I'm gonna
Nay.
recuse I have to recuse myself.
Why?
It takes 4 to pass.
Who said why?
Because, well, we're not,
Wait, who said why?
it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I want to know who said why.
Cindy, it's your vote there.
I said,
What?
hold it.
There.
Who said why? I want
We
to
need-
know.
Celia. Wait,
No.
wait, hold it. We're in the middle of the vote, then you can find out.
Okay.
So, David, you're a no.
I'm a no.
Bill, you're a no.
I'm a no.
I'm a no. Celia's recusing herself. So the motion fails.
So who
I-
said why? I just want to know.
Bill
Who
said it.
said? Who?
Bill.
Bill Grindle?
Yes.
Okay. I need to recuse myself because my daughter-in-law works for the foundation and I was told that I am not allowed to vote on anything or any discussion in regard to the foundation. So that's why I'm recusing
Because there's
myself.
a financial interest
Right,
in your family.
right.
Thank you.
I would like to make a motion just to table this for a month, just to give us, because there's a lot of information there, just to have an opportunity to really digest it and be able to ask the committee the questions that we have before we vote on it. So my motion would be to table it until next month.
I'd second that. I want to, with that discussion on that, I want to repeat something I said earlier. This is a significant improvement on Nikki. I didn't have a date on the old listing, and I'm glad you said it was 2017 because I remember when it was done. So this is major movement. And then the other piece that's a major movement is the second document in the packet, which identifies groups and says, here's what category you're in. So it really spells it right out. So you and the person speaking before have done and the committee as a whole have done yeoman's work to move it to this point. I just think it needs further refinement. And I know that the intent, I've heard the word equity a few times, and I think that's great. But there's also some unintentional consequences with trying to do something that's equitable. So keep with equity, but also try to avoid the unintentional consequences for a key founding partner in Celebration. We have to be very, very careful. So we need to, I think, look at that.
So what's the charge then if we send this back to the Recreation Committee?
We're
We're
not sending it back to them.
tabling it, so
We're tabling it so we can have questions and we can submit. When's the next, Nikki? When's the next Parks and Recreation Committee meeting?
that's my
So
question.
it is December 12th.
So
December 12th.
we're tabling it and then what is, so is this?
I ask the committee and management to relook at it.
Yeah.
Based
if
on
we
the
have any
discussion and any forthcoming questions.
Who
Would
do
it
we send
be,
our questions and comments to?
would it be more effective to have a joint workshop? Because then
Sure.
all the discussion can be held at one
Yep.
time versus, answering questions back and forth via email and then coming back here in January in the same positions.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's great to have a discussion, a meeting with everybody instead of an email back and forth.
Yeah.
So there's.
I would ask to be with this, and I know it's the other action item too, is the timeline for rollout. So that, because the other one has prices, that's where the cost schedule is, or is that?
Yeah, that's
For the 2024.
Yeah, so, but, so that organizations have time to plan and say, oh, this is gonna cost us different than what we've been paying. I mean, so that they have time to get their own.
That's another tool. Bill, are you trying to say something? No.
Part of the other thing too, while we did look at those, was because of potentially the 851 building closing and losing potential revenue, we did want to look at kind of making adjustments to the and again, it hadn't been looked at for 10 years. I know we're talking about the other topic, but it hadn't been looked at for 10 years. So it was looking at obviously inflation and they were doing comparables with like the Gaylord Palms and other, I mean, they put a lot of work into this. So tabling is fine, having a joint workshop is fine, outright saying no, that's where I have a little bit of an issue.
No, no.
But we're gonna have a
In
discussion.
fact, I don't really have an issue with the fee structure. I just am trying to absorb this and think if there's a different way to categorize these people, these groups somehow. And I know they've worked really hard on it, but like I said, to me, when I read it, some of the things overlapped. I just would like it to be a little bit clearer. So when somebody new comes, oh, well, they're a 501c3. Do they go here or do they go here? Kind of thing.
I had a question though for you all. Our goal is to kind of roll this out in 2024, because right now what you have in place it's not black and white, it is gray still. So we're trying to make sure that we can get this moving along as quickly as we can.
I don't have it. Well, right now we're talking about number 6 only, correct?
It is in regards to that.
Yeah, that I would still like to motion that we table and have, some kind of a workshop where we can discuss it.
So let's call for the vote on that.
Okay. So David, you want to?
I
Okay. Well, I mean, so we're changing it instead of tabling it, we're having a workshop. So
Right.
I made that motion. Dave, you'll second it again. All in favor? Anybody opposed?
Am I allowed to?
And tabling?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
If you,
From the other one, I would stay. for this.
okay, I'm gonna recuse myself from that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, this could be a little tough, but we'll get it done.
Item 7.
Yeah, so now we're to number 7.
So I'll motion to table that under the same.
You want to table that
We
one
just
too?
bucket it under the same workshop. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just for
That
streamlining.
makes sense.
Okay.
I second that. I would like to make two public comments on that other item, which has the cost structure. One comment is, and I've mentioned this probably over the last 3 or 4 years, is looking at the cost for the non-resident groups. I know you're trying to be competitive. I think as part of our decision, it'll be helpful to know how much income has come from non-resident groups, because I don't really care about that income. I don't think it's too much. I mean, I don't think it's too much.
That information
So,
is shared in the workshop with the rec committee, and you're looking at like an 80-20 split. 80% was residents, 20 non-residents.
We didn't want to make it so that we price residents out.
No, right.
So non-residents was what we were looking at. So
I'm okay with, pardon me, but I'm okay with pricing non-residents out.
Well, we want to make it market.
I don't care about market. I make it restrictive. And here's the rub. The other point, which I've argued for several times, and I do not see it in the rental agreement, noise. noise. And this would apply to residents and non-residents with an outdoor facility and cranking up the music, and residents live 50 feet away from that. No way. And particularly with non-residents, make it cost prohibitive for non-residents. Make sure the deposit goes way up. I'm talking about non-residents, and no objection to what you just said. For non-resident, rental or deposit should be high, cost should be high, and then disturbance by residents or non-residents of the surrounding, particularly with outdoor locations, is problematic. I think needs to be addressed.
So if you price them out, and I know we're gonna have a separate workshop on this, if you price them out and we rely on 20% of income, that's 20%. Or 20% rental, we're not gonna see that. And we're not an income generating organization. So that's gonna have implications on our bottom line. So there are a lot of thoughts and a lot of collateral damage that can be caused by making these adjustments without having.
So the question is, how much money is that? I mean, we're dealing with 5,000, it may not.
I'll provide that too.
Yeah, that would be helpful in that calculus.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you.
And Lauren, you'll send out one of your doodle.
We have to vote on that.
Oh, sorry. I thought we did.
Table.
Oh, Devin, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. We'll finish that up. All right. So now we're going to the consent agenda, which now only consists of number 1 and 2.
Motion to approve.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Who said second?
Okay. I guess we're not discussing just consent. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. So now we're moving to what was number 3 on the consent agenda, which has to do with the Adirondack chairs for the dog.
Yeah.
What about 1 and 2?
We just did
We'll go
that.
there next.
Yeah, which that's I got it.
Cindy's correct.
Okay, got it. I'm right. That's all right.
There's too many scribbles on this paper.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is the Adirondack chairs for dog park. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. It's a reserve expense for items that are at end of life. That is no different than any other reserve expense.
I'll second.
Discussion. In between the 2 meetings, somebody that was here mentioned that these don't appear to be the same chairs that are there. They're Adirondack chairs, but some Adirondack chairs are deeper than others. And the deeper ones are harder for people to get out of. When I looked at it, I kind of questioned, because they said that they're folding chairs. So I kind of wondered, wouldn't it be better to me, folding is easily collapsible. Maybe, do we need something sturdier? I mean, are these the exact same things that we had in there before? You don't know.
These are the composite plastic that are sturdy and will be easy to maintain and keep clean. They're very similar to, well, actually, I think the ones out there might be wood. Yeah.
So is everybody here from the dog park? Are they wood now?
Yeah, they're wood.
Yeah.
So these will be a better project, easier to maintain, and will last longer.
Is Bill trying to talk?
Paul?
They're different chairs. An Adirondack chair is a very deep seat that a lot of people can't get up out of. And those are similar to the white chairs at Island Village. The ones that are at the dog park are they're similar in construction, same material, same shape, same company, but they're called upright chairs. And that's the difference. They have the same kind of armrests, they have the same kind of planking, and they're made of the same composite material. But these are.
It's a style.
I'll get in and out of them. I know a lot of people I go with will not, probably including my wife. These are very deep chairs, very hard to get in and out of, and they're not going to be good for people who are constantly trying to get up for their dogs and then maybe sit down for a second. I just think it's the wrong model. That's all. I looked at what you had on Amazon, and I think you're looking for the upright chair, not the Adirondack chair. An Adirondack is a patented name.
You make an excellent point. Can we move to approve this with the right kind of chair and let management figure it out?
Also, why is it? I know we buy a lot of stuff from Amazon, but aren't there other options with better warranties or better, longer residential, I don't know. I would imagine.
Some of the lawn furniture companies?
Yeah, I mean, it may be a little more, but what's our frequency for replacing these things? Like at some point, don't we just start looking at like, you know, things with like 10, 15-year warranties of better quality versus just buying it off Amazon?
I mean, we can start looking at the companies like where we buy your wood benches and the metal benches from. It's just, I mean,
Yeah.
it's science, and obviously they're more expensive than these
But
chairs. Also, if you're putting a wood bench in a dog park, you know, dogs chew on wood.
Yeah.
Chew and other things.
Yeah, and other things too. So, I mean, but if you want us to go back and look at, you know,
I don't want to litigate $1,500, but it's more so just the principle of
yeah, I can,
buying it on Amazon.
Off the top of your head, do you know what the line item reserve, how much money's been put aside for that?
$9,315.
How much?
$9,315.
Can we go ahead and approve it as long as if she does research to get the
right model.
Get
the right model up to,
Well, what can you, so for the Adirondack chairs, we're asking for $1,545.15. So I can keep it at that.
Keep it,
for the same, with the same model? I mean, with a different model that has
just
the straight
approve
back?
it for 2,000 and find the right model.
Comparable price difference.
They're comparable prices.
Please approve it up to 2,000?
Just approve it up to 2,000 to give flexibility in management. Don't come back for a
Yeah.
dollar.
And then if you can't, you know, but I think that's a good point, especially if, you know, you have dogs. I mean, if there's a dog fight and you're sitting in a chair and you can't get up.
You can't get up. You have to roll yourself out.
Yeah. Okay,
I'll
I'll
modify,
make a motion.
I'll modify my motion for that.
I'll modify my second.
Call the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
So this is gonna be to $2,000.
Yeah, up to $2,000. Okay, number 4. 2024 election timeline. Charles, we asked that this be moved. Do I have a motion? Or do you want to just discuss it?
Well, I
What's your
guess,
pleasure? Move to discuss it.
yeah, so can I motion to move this?
Just motion to approve, deny something.
Motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve for discussion.
So I'll second Jared's.
Okay. Okay, Charles.
The February timeline. The two things. Number one, when you say forum, is that the same thing where it's at Heritage with, or is it a Q&A? Because that seemed to be the traditional format where it was.
Yeah. So
Everyone got questions and.
in the last 2 years that we've done the approval of the election timeline, it's just said forum, and that's gotten figured out by the board on the back end. I didn't know if you guys wanted to fully discuss it because some people liked the question and answer thing that we did. Some people hated it. Some people liked the candidate meet and greet that we did last year instead of that, and some people did not. Do we want to do one of each? So there's more opportunity for candidates to have that opportunity to interact with the residents. We need some input from the board on that one because this is your election.
I can get my 2 cents since I did both of them. I thought the forum in 2021 going into 2022 was really good. Honestly, I think that seems to be the typical format where there's a moderator and there's questions and, you know, everyone goes around. It's like a serpentine thing. I think that should come back. That's my own opinion.
21 or 22? The one that you were on?
Right, the one that's always been. Last year was the
22.
first year it was not the traditional, like, you know, so I think having that,
Yeah.
that's my opinion would be going back to that. And then also a resident forum, like the one we had at Heritage.
Like an open house type thing?
Yeah, I think
Meet the candidates.
Mhm.
My recollection of that, Charles, was slightly different than yours. I
Mhm.
thought it was somewhat of a big mess. If you think back about it.
I'd say
They used to ask a question and start here and everybody answered the same question. And then they asked another question, they start with David and everybody answered the same question. So that didn't really work because, you know, oh, he said what I was going to say kind of thing. So the one that you're referring to, Charles, they had a moderator and they were skipping.
Right.
And remember, they tried to ask.
remember it.
Yeah, of course you do. And so he would try to ask the same person, the same question later on. So I think that needs to be tweaked a little bit or something, but
We can bring back the candidate forum and we can certainly tweak the the way it's run.
Mhm.
So it works a little bit better. And then we can do a candidate meet and greet at later in the month, closer to the tail end of the election. Do you want to do the video we did last year, or did you think those were not helpful?
I don't know. Again, Jared, maybe you have some comments on this too, but I don't know. I didn't think it was,
I don't think so.
not everyone did them, and it was just kind of, you know, did
But
they get
we
viewed
did,
much? Were you able to see like the viewership on the, like
I
the,
can ask Liz to check the viewership and then we can bring it back as an option if there was a lot of views.
there
I
was,
just felt like it
was there, I don't know if you would call it a committee or a group that was put together to gather all the information, questions. Did we have that in 2022? Because I know
So in
they had-
2021, going into 2022, we put out a call for questions to the community, and the hot topics that were asked were kind of like, if they were common threads or themes in the questions, they were kind of combined into one question by the board at the time. And then the board had a couple of questions that they wanted asked as well. But I mean, those are details we can figure out on the back end. We just need kind of time frames so we can put this out for those running so they know what their time commitments are in terms of participation in this.
I would have the two, if we're gonna do the two things, which I think is a good idea, because they're different and you get a different perspective of the candidates. But I would do them as far to the front end as you can, both of them. Because there's people that go out there and vote immediately, and then, you know, they may change their mind if they end up going to a forum or whatever and say,
Well,
oh,
if you vote online, you can change your mind up to the close of the.
no, but I don't know that everybody knows that, but it's an education thing, I suppose.
So she has a candidate forum here for January,
That's pretty early.
yeah, January 23rd.
yeah, February, then additional candidate forums or open house opportunities.
Maybe
So,
the
or both,
open
or
house
both.
could be in February or.
you both. That was why I just wanted to follow it up and saw the question mark, and I know you've got to publish this, so. Jared, do you have any thoughts? I know you ran recently too.
No, I didn't have to do a candidate forum, so I wouldn't have enjoyed that, that's for sure. But I did like the open house, so. But that's just my opinion.
I didn't enjoy the candidate forum either, but you know, I think it's a good format, honestly. I think.
Hasn't the annual,
You're okay.
hasn't the annual meeting always been the first Tuesday of March?
It's timed out by, it adjusts just a little bit up and down over the years based on the number of days. If you have 29 days in February this year, so it's messing with
Really
the time
messing
frame
things
just
up.
a little bit. So the dates from the start date to it's the whatever day of whatever month, it's adjusted that way.
So are we all right.
So we can do a forum in January and an open house in early February.
Yeah, I know Bill was on both too. Bill, do you have any thoughts also?
Bill?
Sorry, I had the mic off. Since I've been to the candidate forum and the meet and greet, personally, the meet and greet was easier. And I don't know if we actually reached out to more people with one forum or the other. And I don't know if there's any records of that. So I don't know if it's effective as the meeting for people getting to know us. One worked better than the others. I remember there were a lot of people online for the forum, but I don't know if that was exceeded by the number of people that showed up for the meet and greet. So that would be my question. My only comment against the forum was it was long and tedious, and people came up to me and said that. But it might
I
be
mean, that's a
better.
discuss offline.
Yeah, and it kind of depends on how many candidates you have too. If you've only got 5 candidates, then it goes a little bit faster than if you have 10 candidates and,
Lauren, I don't recall having this last year. Did we have the opportunity for candidates to do a video?
Yeah, that's.
Yes, there is.
Okay, that was that.
There were only 4 or 5 that did it though.
Yeah, only half of
Yeah, it was
you
half,
did
like
that.
half. Yeah, okay.
And the process was, you have to go there, you gotta, it's like 20 minutes. I don't know. I mean, if you can work out the wrinkles in the forum and I think it was it's not great to sit through it. It's not fun to be peppered with questions, but it's important to be able to, to think on your feet.
It's like, I remember my first forum watching, there were like 12 candidates up here. Like Cindy was talking, going down the line.
And for the record, I didn't enjoy it. So I'm just going to read it.
Okay, so we'll edit this document to keep the forum in January, and the February one will be an open house in early February. Okay.
This isn't on here, but in case it pops in, we used to have the candidates and Food Truck Friday. I don't think that works well because most of the people that are Food Truck Friday aren't residents. If they are, they're just there to eat.
We have not done that since I've been here.
You can add dates though, like informally.
Well, yeah, if additional things come up, at least this gives them a general idea of what they're.
This is the anchors.
So do we vote on that, or I know it's.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll amend my motion to everything we just talked about.
Yeah.
I think that was Jared's motion.
Or let's, sorry.
Is that okay
Yeah,
with you,
I'll
Jared?
amend it. Yep.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're at the original number 1 under action required. Okay. So that's the motion to ratify Vigilant Services as a project management company for the Spring Lake and Long Meadow Playground. Do I have a motion?
I will motion for discussion because I have questions.
Second.
Okay. What's my name? Jared. Okay, Gerald. Jared, discuss.
So, I guess I'll just start. I don't know who these need to go to, but I have notes on the contract that I think need to be modified before it's signed. I'll just start. At nowhere in this contract does it mention the scope of work, the 42 page, whatever page document that Lauren put together. So we need to reference that document as what Vigilant is supposed to be accomplishing. It's not referenced anywhere. It's not attached as an addenda. It needs to be referenced in their contract. In section C, it says that there will be weekly updates. We've all agreed to daily updates, so they need to revise the contract to provide daily updates. Section C also needs to have final inspections by a CPSI certified playground safety inspector, which is something that we had all asked for collectively. Permit supervision needs to be included in section C. Ensuring lien releases is missing from section C as well. And ensuring full contract compliance is missing from section C. Under the fees for Phase C and D services, it mentions a full journal of services would be available by request. I think that should just be something that is provided, not by request. That should just be something that's provided. The billing cycle is unclear. Payments are due within 15 days. That seems pretty tight to me, but that's fine if everybody else is okay with that. But it doesn't say, are we getting billed every day and then we have bills due every 15 days? Or we billed once a month? The billing cycle is very unclear under the fees for Phase C and D.
As with monthly frequency until the end of this agreement.
It says that?
Yeah.
Okay. It states a 15% late fee. That seems an extremely unreasonable late fee. Typically, that's between 1 and 1.5%. Under liability, the statement seems wrong. I don't know if they're looking for a mutual hold harmless agreement, but I feel like has Slayton reviewed this contract?
He reviewed it as part of the reimbursement agreement, but I don't think he looked straight at it.
Okay. Before we go signing contracts, we should have our attorney look at it also. I think the liability section should be a mutual hold harmless agreement, not the way it's worded there. Also following that is the dispute resolution, which reads like a rock, paper, scissors kind of resolution. And I think that needs to be revised to, if we're going to do it by a third party, that's fine. But this, the way it's written is I get to pick someone, you get to pick someone, and then we'll both pick someone. I've never heard of that as a reasonable legal defense. So I think we need to not do that. And then I just need to reiterate, we need to attach the scope document because this is an entire contract that doesn't reference at any point what it's about. So how that even came to in front of the board is shocking to me, that this document doesn't reference what they're actually doing. So we need to add that as well. Those are my notes on this contract. I think all of this needs to be revised and addressed before it's signed.
Jerry,
That's
did you
it
want
for
to
me.
put that in? I think it, Lauren, do you want him to put that in the email instead of you just to compare with what notes you took?
I've got the recording.
You got, oh, duh, yeah. Okay, so we've got the recording.
The only thing that those are good points. The payer to me is a little bit, because Grand Manners is reimbursing us. That's the model. But why wouldn't, I guess, why is the reimbursement agreement necessary? Why wouldn't this be just be a direct pay from Grand Manners?
And it would be Grand Manners entering into this agreement and not
Or
CROA.
Grand Manners as the payer? Couldn't you just be the payer? I'm trying to understand the point of the reimbursement agreement. Why does it have to be reimbursed?
The cleaner contract would be just between two parties than have the three parties in there as Grand Manners is paying for this, but CROA is controlling the contract.
Even if it's defined as payer. Okay. Seem to make sense to put there.
I also understand that concern and argument, Charles, but I do think it is cleaner to have it be two separate agreements just from a legal standpoint if there's an issue after the fact.
Okay, that's fine. That was it for me.
Okay.
So I'm just trying to question something in B. Where it's yellow. It looks like there's a fading of writing in this, and I'm not understanding what it's saying.
There's two bullets that you can barely read, that one can barely read.
It says creation of the
Can address that. I believe, sorry, I don't mean to be interrupting, I'm just virtual, so that's how it goes. I believe that the ones that are so light are things that are not included in the contract, and so this is another note. For example, under B, under the management of the bidding process, then the one that's grayed out is creation of the request for proposal document for contract bidding. So I am assuming that it's grayed out because they're not doing that because that's already done. It shouldn't even appear here. If they're not doing the work, it shouldn't appear in the contract. So I think the two that Celia is talking about should be removed.
Right.
Agreed.
Because they're legible, but hard to read.
So what are we doing with this? Are we tabling it then? Or are we voting? What do you want to say? Jared?
I'll motion to table to revise. Table with a revision with notes as provided.
And Tom Slayton looks at this. Right?
Yes, I mean, again, I don't know how this made this to the board without that happening, but yes, that should happen.
Yeah, the release of lien to me was
That's in the scope of work.
But to Jared's point, if it's not in there, then we've got a problem.
So what does tabling do to timeline?
We can get it revised and to Tom and back, and then you can do that written resolution outside of a board meeting that you ratify.
Like a DocuSign type
Yeah.
thing?
Now, Vigilant has already been acting on our behalf without the contract executed, right? So.
So, Lauren, I have a question. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Bill. I didn't know where that was coming from for a minute.
Yeah, just a voice out of the air.
Uh-huh.
I'm a little confused about how this works structurally myself. If the payee is Grand Manners and the contract is between Grand Manners and Vigilant, I'm not sure why we're signing it.
So the struggle there was with the prior project management people that we had utilized. Grand Manners had engaged them directly, And there was a lack of control and directive that the board was able to give to that entity. So with this one, we had discussed the board engaging in the contract, so they were fully in control of the contract and Grand Manners reimbursing that rate.
I can add to that if it helps.
Right, sure. So in this case, again, the services that are being performed are being for the association from a vendor. Right, so the contract, we believe, should be between the association and the vendor. Grand Manners agreed to reimburse the association for the project management fees, which is why we're creating a separate agreement that is in writing that states that that's what we, right? Because again, the services and work being performed is not for Grand Manners. It's being performed for CROA, right? So I hope that helps.
Yeah, makes sense.
That helps. In full context, if we saw the other, and Jared mentioned, if we saw the other agreement, that would kind of round out the whole idea here.
Exactly.
To that point, I believe we did see, and we do need to vote on that. Do we need to vote on that, Lauren? What is the agreement between Grand Manners and CROA?
You don't need to vote on it. You're gaining money from it, so it's not necessarily something you necessarily need to vote on. We can do that via resolution if you want to formalize that via vote.
But we need to make sure that the terms and conditions for that are adequate so that we can,
It was sent to all of you guys.
but we need to vote on that, though.
No, they're paying us.
Right.
Well,
We're not paying them.
I understand that.
That
but
doesn't matter. It's still a contract.
And if somehow we don't have, we need to see the contract, we need to see like what are the terms of that reimbursement when that's
We
happening,
saw it, didn't we?
Yeah, it was sent to everybody.
but it needs to be in a public meeting. Is there a reason why we're not doing that in a public meeting?
We can do it in public meeting.
I will
I
say
think
that I did send notes back on that, and they did come back. Grand Manners did make the changes, so I do support the modified agreement there. But to Charles' point, I do think we need to put that in a document that people are aware of.
I think that's what we're here for, to.
So we'll do them both at the same time.
Okay, well, and then we'll ratify. Yeah, we'll ratify both. Okay. Okay, so all in favor?
Table.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Motion to approve a vendor to complete the Long Meadow and Spring Park playgrounds.
I'll motion to table.
Yeah.
Second.
And I'm motioning to table because we don't have any. Is that correct to say that we don't currently have formal ready to move ahead?
That's
Yeah.
all we had one.
And it's at the recommendation of Vigilant too, to extend the deadline because the deadline ended through the Thanksgiving holiday. We just don't have enough bids back or fully fleshed bids back because of the shortened time frame.
So those, there were
Okay,
six. Oh, go ahead, Jared.
No, go ahead.
No, so there were, we put it out to six, or they put it out to six vendors, 2 submitted proposals, 4 declined to quote.
I think one is coming in. They're gonna hopefully get another one, and 2 haven't been responsive. Is that right?
There's 2 in, one's getting theirs in, 2 in.
So we know definitively they're going to be submitting proposals. We're not just extending this just to, like, they're interested in at least.
Right, we have 2 proposals, the third one's coming in, we'll put it in a side-by-side comparison to present to the board for selection.
Thank you.
They're here.
No, I'm good.
Number 3, motion to approve change order for Spring Park.
Okay, so
pool.
we voted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You did.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion to approve change order for Spring Park pool deck stabilization as submitted by Award Engineering. You have a motion?
So moved.
Are you
Give to Bill. To Bill, I'll second his.
We'll let Bill make the motion, David second. Any discussion?
There is no remobilization cost. There's no remobilization
No,
cost.
they agreed not to do that.
Sorry, Jared. Virtual.
I was just going to ask, I know that there was, my concern here is that they're asking for 30% more to do 30% more fill, but they don't know that that's necessarily how much they need. My concern is to quite literally not throw money down a hole. I guess what I'm wondering is they did a whole sonogram of the ground to figure out how much they needed initially. Have they done that again to figure out that 2,000 is the right amount? Or are they going to come looking for another $30,000 because they were off by another 50%? Again, I'm just trying to understand where did the 2,000 number come from if it was 33% off from the first evaluation?
That's basically
What's the data behind it?
It's my understanding from the engineers, it's based on the number of slabs that they were able to stabilize with the first portion of the polyfoam. And there's additional slabs to approximately that percentage that they need to stabilize as well.
So in other words, they did a couple and it took more than they anticipated.
Yes.
And looking at the others and counting them, then they figured original proposal's not going to be enough. And this is a reserve expense and well within what we had booked for to spend on it, right?
It's within your reserve.
Yeah.
So when we looked at award engineering, that was the October or September meeting? Were the other vendors that submitted proposals, did they also have similar language around potentially needing more of this? Or I'm just trying to understand, like, are they now coming in after the fact and trying to, I don't know.
Well, it's based on the look of the pool, that it doesn't look like they're coming back to just ask for more money, but.
No, I get it, but I'm wondering if they underpriced versus,
I
don't know,
don't
something.
recall what the other bids were back last year.
So now if you go to the pool deck, the slabs are kind of like uneven. It's almost becoming,
That's
going to be a trip hazard.
I'm not disputing that, I'm disputing that they underpriced pretty significantly.
And what my concern is that are they going to come back? Are they going to come back and after they do the next phase and be like, oh, we need another 3,000. Actually, we've saw this and now we need another. Like, at what point are we going to look at some survey again? I just don't want this to happen another time. So I guess I would vote to approve this, but I'm concerned that we're not doing it based on any actual technical data.
We're relying on the engineer's expertise based on his reading of the reports and what they've done, the work that they've done so far.
And they did say that in their proposal. There's a big asterisk there that said, this is only an estimate. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't foresee them coming back again, but if they did, then we could say we're not doing any additional work until we get an additional survey to verify.
Can I check that?
Okay.
Can I speak to the technical side? When they do the engineering, basically a sonogram, they're trying to find out the density of the soil and whether there's any soil there at all, and it's air. And that's going to give them a pretty good number. It's never going to give them an absolute number, because when they start pumping that stuff in, whatever stuff they're using, and there's a lot of different materials for this, it's going to compress the soil. So soil that looked like it was all good and solid is now going to be squeezed a little bit, frankly, in this case, squeezing water out of it. So they couldn't end up making the hole require more than they had planned on. And that's why they never give a solid estimate as to how much it's going to take. There's a certain level of experience to this, but I don't know that anybody is going to stake their career on exactly what's going on in a hole they can't actually see.
I would agree with everything you said, but there's a tolerance and a variable that we hired them for as experts to make sure that they were covering, and a 5%, a 10% difference is understandable. This is a whole 33% difference, and that's why this is significant.
Well, I agree. We shouldn't see them again. This should be the end of it.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Bill
I wasn't sure if you knew.
I thought I read my sheet.
Oh, okay. David.
A motion by Bill, second by David, to approve the change order for Spring Park deck. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Moving on. Motion to change Island Village gym operating hours to 24/7 pursuant to the CROA board agreement with Streetlights Residential. We have a motion.
A motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
Staffing. Staffing. Already in our budget for 24/7.
there's no staffing.
There's no staffing 24/7.
Why do we have to approve this?
It was part of the agreement made with TCC, and there's an email from the then CROA board president and executive director when Streetlights agreed to build the amenity center, that they agreed to a 24/7 opening.
So why do we, so what's the purpose of us voting on this if we have to do it?
Because we've been holding off.
Yeah, I know.
So, sorry.
Preferably, I would not do this. I just,
Right,
full honesty,
right.
I would
Yeah.
not keep this gym open 24/7.
What happens if we don't? Big Streetlight, they marketed it as 24/7.
24/7. I have not seen the original agreement, and TCC's been a little bit reluctant to share that with us because that's their agreement with them. But
And I'll change my motion to table it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Definitely.
fully support it.
But so going back though to the staffing, we just heard about the cleanliness of it. If it is open for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, are we going to now have more deterioration, more cleaning issues? I mean, now I'm actually thinking about the reserves too.
It's
You're
gonna,
thinking this has complete,
it's gonna increase,
domino
it's
effect.
gonna shorten the life of the machines. Yeah.
all right, so then, yes, absolutely.
I'm concerned
I
about
ha-
security because there's, you could be in there on a piece of equipment because you got off your shift at 11 o'clock at night and somebody else could come in behind you. You could be the only people in that building.
Okay, so a table.
So we table, is this something that you or Jeff or someone else can try to renegotiate that? I mean, if we can't find something in writing, then it doesn't, I assume that it doesn't exist.
If TCC agreed to it on your behalf, then you're beholden to the TCC agreement.
But there
And
should
if
be a
nobody can
document.
provide that in writing?
Document, then there's no
We
document.
haven't gotten it. I haven't gotten it from TCC yet. I can have Tom kind of demand it from them.
And if it doesn't exist,
Then
and if it exists, maybe that can be renegotiated. I mean, that's
Yeah.
taking off of something you said.
Yeah.
At
I
least
just
try.
want to, sorry, I just want to say for the record, I am very unclear why this is an action item on the agenda. And the management recommendation is to change the operating hours to 24/7. But then Lauren, you said you don't recommend we do this. And we also were about to make a vote on something that we don't even have a document on.
it's been something
So-
that's been. It's been something that's been pushed from meeting to meeting to meeting.
I heard two different things from Lauren. One is management recommends approving it, parenthesis, because there's a document signed by TCC that we've heard about. But then the other voice I heard is, if I had my druthers, I would not approve this because it causes all sorts of problems. That's not a recommendation for management. That's like, here's what I think. But if there's a document, then we're obligated to that. I mean, that I heard both of those comments.
Maybe.
I've seen something from a prior board to TCC confirming this, but I don't remember what form it was in.
It was part of your December meeting last year when we were over in Heritage
Heritage.
Hall.
I remember that.
Oh.
Weren't they their streetlights?
Streetlights was there.
They were there.
You voted, we voted to, they voted to,
No, it was a discussion item.
I remember voting on it.
I remember I remember that meeting, but yeah,
I don't
There was
remember.
no clear.
Yeah.
There was supposed to
The
be some
marketing guy was there.
investigation done.
Yes, right.
Okay.
I
So you got a
think the
motion from
approval had been granted prior to the 22 board.
So you've got a motion from Charles, second by Jared to table this. See if Lauren can track down and have Tom intervene if he needs to. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Number 5, motion to approve the CROA Board of Directors resolution for electronic records backup authorization. I have a motion.
Make the motion.
Motion.
Okay, that was
Motion.
Charles.
I'll second Jared's.
Arrows all over the place. Okay. So we're going to give it to Jared. Second by Charles. Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, great. Thanks. All right, we did 6 and 7 already. We're down to 8. Motion to approve Gallagher for $196,698.14 for reserve funds as recommended by the Technology Committee.
We have John come up and speak.
Sure. Can you tell us what Gallagher's all about? Before somebody makes a motion?
But let's make, we'll
You
make,
need to
a-
make a motion.
Oh,
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
See what good second.
So this project started with the key access with our cards around town, letting into bathrooms and building and stuff. It's outdated, it's not supported anymore, no more warranty on it. It's very expensive when they break. One a week, couple a month, going down thousands and thousands of dollars to keep replacing these old antiquated locks and systems. So we got 3 vendors, Gallagher, Paxton, and another one. And went through all 3, very thorough, came in, got demos, talked to all of them. Gallagher was the one that we chose. Now, the thing about replacing all the locks and the key access around Celebration, there's tons of other benefits that come with this. It seems like a big investment, but the application owner is a big part of this. And what's going to unlock it for a town is you can still use your card, but you can also have a digital access on your phone. So now people can use their phone to get into bathrooms, into facilities, into events we have. Kids on the parks and the facilities are asked by park monitors, are you residents? Kids will have their phones. The teenagers will have their phones with it. So the access will have that to all the events. It will also solve a big problem that we have with non-residents coming into, and this was brought up before, some of our events. Like technically you can bring 4 people per household into an event. There's no way to track that. With the application itself, and you go up to, like, the foundation was awesome. We had a great night Friday night. You go up, you tap your phone to it. It checks you in. Here's my 4 guests. The next time somebody came to do that, it would buzz up. You already got your 4 guests. So there'd be accountability about who's using the facilities inside of it then as well. Rec Pro, Nikki's doing for our facilities, who uses things, the tennis courts. I'm part of the volleyball association, Little League. Who has the facilities, what times? You want to go use one of the fields, it'll be right there in the application as well to see who has it as well. So it's really going to bring tons of stuff to the community with this. We're really excited about it. And it's a big investment, but I really think it's something that the town is really going to appreciate, that it's going to unlock for us and really help with the technology in town. So.
Can I add to that?
Could Jose talk about?
While you're up there, either I read it somewhere or maybe in the documents about the dog park and what do you call it, vaccination records?
Yep, that's a great point there. So another concern is the vaccinations with the record keeping of it. So when you go up to the dog park with your phone and click it, if your vaccinations are expired, it'll beep and not let you in. So right now we can't track. That's kind of a manual process. So that'll be built into the system.
So in light of that, so I have dogs, forget right now, RSV or whatever it is, the dog thing. If my records expire July 1st, will this system send me a notice, or will some other, is it wait to be integrated so I get a notice?
Notification right on your phone or
your flu shots or your dog, whatever.
Yeah.
Not whatever the dog shots are. Whatever.
Yes.
Just a reminder, so I don't show up. It's like, oh, doggone.
Yep. It unlocks a whole bunch of capabilities with that, and it ties into all the systems we have, all the cameras we have, our milestone systems.
Ties in security cameras, all that.
Yep.
So it does more than that. It's able to now also address
issues where we have an active shooter situation or emergency situation, we can remotely lock down all the doors, open selected doors. It addresses the low voltage issue throughout celebration. So we get to rewire everything from the ground up, make sure things are grounded correctly, put in new cans, make sure that they're not being invaded by temperature fluctuations, because that's what ultimately messes up the equipment. This morning I went to dog park, the doors were not working. When I checked, it was an electrical failure because the temperature dropped so fast that there was moisture buildup. So it just gives us the opportunity to build it from the ground up, build it right, make all the integrations that need to happen so that we can integrate it with Milestone. So when you check in a door, the camera actually takes a picture of the person who's checking in the door and it sends a notification. It's future-proofing the system and being able to integrate it in large part with the entire infrastructure that we're building.
Right, and we've had good conversations also with voting, right from the app itself, covenants, violations inside the app, respond to it. I mean, it's really endless, a lot of things that it can do with the app.
Just linking with ONR?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's interoperable with ONR.
Right. And the big thing we were concerned about, some of the other vendors charge, like if you upgraded your phone, it'd be like a $25 charge. And we actually, Sienna does that. And we didn't want to have it. So there's no charge for how many phones in there to put the application on it. So the license, we can charge whatever we want for when a new resident comes in if we want.
In the documentation that you talked about with the current system, since February of 22, we spent 33 grand.
Yeah, we actually have the financials.
And so,
that Amy had with
what's the annual? So this is a one-time fee, and then this is the hardware and software. Then what a year from now?
So
2 years from now.
So the software is supported lifetime. So whenever there's an update, they provide us with the updates. The hardware does have is it 10-year, a five-year warranty on the actual cans, and up to 10 if we pay an additional fee for it.
And the long-term history of this company with hardware and software.
Gallagher is one of the best in breed security applications. So we only pick the top 3 that we know are in the market. DMP is one of the more known one, and so is Paxton. But we just love the feature set that was already built into Gallagher that we didn't have the extra for.
I don't suppose this is going to do anything to solve the problem with lightning striking at the dog park and disabling.
Like I said, it's a low voltage issue, right? So if we built the wiring from the ground up, we can future-proof this stuff and make sure that it works and it doesn't take heavy damages.
So once assuming this is approved, what does it take to get it fully functional?
So in the scope of, in the documentation, there is a project management fee for it so that we can actually create a schedule, go site by site, do the installations and roll it out systematically, one location at a time, while keeping the current system running in parallel and start turning them off as we move along.
Yeah, and we want to stress again, so everybody hears it correctly, you can continue to use your old cards. I know some people are apprehensive about their phones, so the old cards are compatible and can continue to be used.
And how long do you think, how long do you expect this to take? Sounds like a big job.
Is it a year?
It's under a year.
So it's 6 months to a year to
6 months on the mid side of.
I mean, you start to see some of it in the first month, but yeah.
Is there a reason why this would not, forgive me, why this wouldn't fall under CJC?
I was wondering that.
CROA doesn't use your security system.
None of this covers CROA. Okay.
It's all CROA properties.
Well, I know we have IT infrastructure, and I'm just trying to think. I don't know how far,
So apartment rec fees would help offset like the cost, the run rate for this in the future, but other CROA properties don't utilize your facilities or don't gain any benefit from your facilities.
We only received the bids for the Gallagher system in the documents, right? Is there a reason we didn't get all 3 of the bids to review?
DMP, Paxton, and Gallagher was there, and we even added Artisan Park as a separate invoice or quote. So you should have it for all 3 products and Artisan Park as well.
We only went out to one vendor to get pricing?
Yes. We went to ProTech Security because they did Island Village. And did excellent work at Island Village. Their wiring and their electronics and their whole setup was immaculate. And currently with CJS, we've had getting, products on proper timing and getting wiring done, so.
They went out and got quotes. They were the broker almost for this. Like they got quotes from.
They did the vendors. They provided us with the vendors that will provide us with the hardware and the software.
The only actual
Yes, so
proposal
we only have one proposal for each. So just to clarify on this, Gallagher, Paxton, and DMP are manufacturers of security systems. So you evaluated 3 different security type systems, right?
That's correct.
Hardware, software.
But we only got pricing from one company on these 3 different things. We didn't do competitive bids on any. We didn't do any competitive bids. We only did comparable bids of equivalent products. We didn't do competitive bids on single product. Like Gallagher is who you like. I agree with that, but we don't have other Gallagher numbers. We only have this one.
Yes, because the price is fixed on the product. What you're getting from ProTech is just the cost for labor of installing the product and running the wires.
So is there another price that we're gonna have to pay later for the Gallagher system?
No, so it's all included. What they presented to us was 3 different alternative solutions, and they're just saying, hey, we'll get you the 3 bids that you need for the solution, and we'll charge you for the installations and support of the product.
But we don't have 3 bids on a Gallagher system. We only have the one.
But ProTech, you're saying ProTech put out these bids. We got 5 Gallagher, Paxton, or Gallagher, Paxton,
and DMP.
Okay.
But those are not companies, Charles. Those are products.
I know. But are we paying what did we pay ProTech? Did we?
So outside of paying Gallagher for the solution, they're coming in to do the wire. And the
Service provider.
Yeah.
How did we engage ProTech?
They did work for us at Island Village.
That was through a board action we engaged ProTech?
Excuse me?
That was through a board action that we engaged ProTech?
No. It was done through the tech committee directly. And it was part of our resolution.
I support going with Gallagher. I probably even support going with ProTech because they're a preferred vendor and you like working with them. But I don't feel comfortable making a vote without knowing that 2 other companies have the similar $196,000 price. Someone else may be able to get us a Gallagher system for $168,000, or they may come back at $220,000. But we haven't done a comparable bid here, which is something that we talk about, I feel like, every meeting. I don't understand.
Okay, so
I don't understand his question.
So he wants us to get 3 bids from 3 different service providers that can provide the same product.
Gallagher. But Gallagher, you went straight to the source.
We went straight to Gallagher.
You went straight to Gallagher.
ProTech, the point is, so we went to ProTech, but there should have been 2 other vendors brought in to make sure that there wasn't markup on Gallagher, on Paxton, on DMP. But you're saying this was the technology committee's, that's under your resolution to go out and.
I'm not unsupporting what we're doing, but I don't understand why we didn't get 3 bids. We talk about that all the time. Lauren, can you address why we didn't get 3 bids on this?
I honestly wasn't involved in all the investigation. It was really steered by the tech committee.
Okay, we need 3 bids. That's something we all agree on.
But we got a bid from Gallagher, we got a bid from Paxton, we got a bid from DMP. Are those not 3 bids?
No, those are 3 different products.
It's 3 different products. So we need to go to 2 different other essentially brokers, for lack of a better word, to get those.
Subcontractors.
Yes.
Well, it's like Gallagher's like Chevy and then DMP's like Ford. So we settled on one and then we only went to 1 car deal. We didn't go to 3 car deal. That's the point. Because that was a preferred vendor that we've used before. They were there at all meetings. They brought all the information in and the demos and stuff.
So what are we doing?
We'll get two more.
So do we want, so,
So David and Celia, do you want to change your motion to table?
not really.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good with what the technology and Jose have done. So,
So you're okay not making sure we have the best price on this?
so we need to keep making comments from the audience, or can we just do what we have to do?
How much effort would be to find other brokers or dealers?
So what's gonna happen is that we're gonna go to another vendor. They're gonna present us with the product, and then we're gonna have to do product reviews all over again, score them the same. Go to another vendor, rinse and repeat. This took us about, what, 6 months? almost, to get done, so we just have to.
Does it mean looking at another product or honing in on the Gallagher product and finding another, if you will, installer?
Right.
It's the same car that you like. It's just,
Right.
it's just which dealer you're gonna buy it from, right?
That's who's running the wires.
Right.
That's really what it is.
So you think that would take another 6 months?
No, it will take about 2 to 3.
2 to 3?
And how much of that is that of this total price, running the wires?
That's broken down. I don't have that number in my head, but it's all broken down in the quotes.
And Viking Security is who?
They did the cabling for Island Village.
So all of these quotes, how is there, so they are a contractor of ProTech? I'm trying to understand the relationship and
So Viking Security is we call it ProTech, but it's
so they're
Oh.
doing business.
Oh, they're just running, all they're doing is the actual label of running
They
the
do the
wires, doing the
service.
physical installation,
They don't-
and that's it.
They don't make anything. They just service this.
So these are ProTech invoices that we are. Okay.
Tells you everything that they did quotes for.
Yeah, Viking Security, then we all.
There's all different ones. Island Village, the Artisan Clubhouse, Town Hall.
Jose, may I? Do you have a breakdown of parts and labor?
It's all quoted and done by line item. It's just not in that particular document. Oh, there it is.
So can we just send that bill of material and scope to the other two to just give us a price on that? Not send their quotes, but we can send a bill of material and a scope document.
Okay.
This wasn't even an RFP, was it? No RFP.
So this is a different kind of question is how much savings, and I know this is an unfair, so how much savings might there be with going through this extra effort? So said differently, is it worth doing that extra effort to save $2,000, $5,000, $10,000? I mean, or might it say 50,000?
To Jared's point, just to go through the process, fine. Just to go through the process, to Jared's point, it's fine, we could do it. But usually because there's already almost, you could say like fixed pricing on wiring, the difference isn't gonna be.
I agree with Jared saying, and we could go out and find another provider. I think the thing to think about though, you don't want to be in a position like the playground. You find somebody a little bit cheaper, they start, they stop, and then you're in a pickle where half the stuff's done and locks aren't locking. This is a vendor that's been used. You can see the pricing and the labor on there. And Jared, I agree with you. And the product. So we've used them before and they're trusted and reliable and they did a good job. So
This is
I
a company you
understand.
work with and trust.
Yes.
And you think best estimate, you think you have a good price from them,
Yes,
or a reasonable deal.
absolutely.
This isn't a price driven, I mean, Gallagher's the most expensive. So I don't know why we're, you know what I mean? And I don't think it's a price driven, it's capabilities, it's long-term future proofing and all that.
Right.
But again, there should be, we have to follow the procurement guidelines.
What's the motion on the table? To approve or to table?
To approve. You made the motion, Celia seconded.
I'd like to call the question.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
We need 4 to pass.
Is Bill Where's
I'm
Bill?
I'm opposed.
Yeah, I'm opposed.
It's our responsibility to get 3 bids on everything, and we didn't get 3 bids here.
Bill? Is your microphone turned off or did you go to sleep?
No, I got it back on again.
Okay. We're taking the vote on whether or not to go with this Gallagher bid.
I'm
And
voting to
the,
go with, sorry, I've been following it. I mean, go with Gallagher.
Okay, so that's 4
4 to 2.
2 opposed. Okay, motion passes. Okay,
Thank you both and the committee for your good work.
Thank you, Jose.
thanks, guys. Okay, next one is a payment plan request. We have a motion
I'll make the motion.
and a second. Celia? Any questions, comments, concerns? All in favor? Anybody opposed? Opposed? And last action item is non-compliance list, which you have. Did we get a revised one of this time?
It's, should be under.
Yes. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Celia made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I'll
All right,
abstain as I don't have the current document.
Thanks, Jared. Okay. All right, so we've got 3 discussion items, Island Village Gym, CCFC project, and the reason that we're here is to talk about the action items. Do we want to tackle all 3 of these things? We want to move?
No, let's defer on A and B if we can, unless there's some time urgency.
That okay with everybody? Charles, Jared, Bill?
Yes.
I'm okay.
All right, moving along. Ta-da.
Okay, Lauren, would you mind putting it up on the screen and making it a little bit larger so that I can see it from here, which would be very helpful. While we're doing that, I'll just start with, in essence, opening comments. So first of all, we're very grateful for the feedback that we received from 634 residents, along with the board feedback on our statement of work with respect to the agreement between the association and Grand Manners. We absolutely look to get feedback. That is the only way that we can improve how we're doing. I think of this in terms of relationships, and when we're in relationships, we're legends in our own minds. Everything's great, but until we ask how are we doing, we really don't know. So again, we're very grateful for all the feedback. The action items that we're going to talk about tonight, specifically,
Oh, boy.
with respect to, I think those are the sprinklers, with respect to the feedback from the residents, right? The action plan is going to be a reflection from the voice of those residents that responded. Ideally, it would be wonderful the next time that we survey to get even more of a response, because then it then widens the net and provides us with a greater voice from the community on things we need to do. So this action plan, again, is going to be a reflection of the voice from those 634 residents, which is 12% of the community. I also want to thank Lauren, Jeffrey, Corbin, who I believe is online, I hope, who's our SVP of operations for Grand Manners, Demetrius, and the town hall staff. We've been working together over the last 2 weeks to put together this action plan, and I want to thank you all for being a part and participant in putting this together for us tonight. I'm going to cover the board action plan, since that has to do with our statement of work and contract, and then Lauren's going to cover the resident survey feedback and our action plans.
Can the audience hear her?
With this?
Okay, excellent. I also want to start with an objective. I think it's good for us. Like, why are we doing this? What is the real purpose of part and the beyond, right? Responding back. We're committed to making a positive impact on the celebration board and, of course, our community members. In pursuit of this objective, we have formulated the action plans that we're going to be sharing with you
that aim to generate a favorable sentiment towards our organization, towards Grand Manners and everything that we are here to accomplish. We believe that by working together, and I think that's the operative word here, it is together, it is a collaboration with the board and the community, we can achieve our goals and create a better future for all. So we're very excited again to share our action plan with everybody tonight. Thank you for giving us that opportunity. So in terms of the board survey feedback, right, this again was based on the scope of work from our management contract. There were 149 elements that are listed there. 111 were met or exceeded, so that was good to see. And then there were 38 that were below expectations. So tonight, we're going to be focusing on the action plans that are a reflection of where we did not perform well and really focusing on those areas. That doesn't mean that we can't continue to talk about it. What we're presenting here, this is a living document. So this is up for conversation. If the board believes we are not hitting on things that are still important, we're here to talk about that. This isn't a rubber stamp, this is what we're going to do. Again, it's a collaborative effort, it's a togetherness exercise. The board has received this. They did receive it 2 days ago. Well, I'm sure there's going to be more conversation and we're happy to have that. The resident feedback as well. So the first section that we want to talk about with respect to the action plan is where we performed least, which is something we actually were talking about tonight, which I think is very apropos. So this is the first section is contract procurement. So Lauren, I'll need you to navigate the screen for me, if you don't mind. If you could scroll down. So the action plan here is we're putting together a few things to help make contract procurement. And if you scroll all the way down there, I just want to make sure I capture the category right. Improvement in contract procurement, oversight, and supervision, right? So this isn't just from getting the contract. This is also from how we're procuring it. And then what are we doing to make sure that these things are being done accurately per the scope of work of each contract. So Lauren, if you don't mind scrolling back up for it, thank you. Our executive assistant here has been tasked with researching new vendors. So she's in essence doing the front end administrative procurement process of finding vendors for a variety of projects to ensure we are not limited to the same small group. They will utilize the local CAI chapter, which we have here in Southeast Florida. CAI is the Condominium Association Institute, and they're a national organization as well that helps provide a lot of education and information to us, corporate vendor services and recommendations from other communities in Central Florida. We also, of course, will partner with our committees as well. They will be scheduled to walk with Jeff and Brian, who are on our team, who will vet them prior to adding them to our vendor list. So we're going to be creating a comprehensive list of vendors. The second thing we're going to do is contracts will be established prior to board meetings and be part of the board packet for full review. Large, Lauren, if you don't mind scrolling. Large, medium, and small project protocols are in the process of being written, and they will be completed by mid-December. So that all the top items are already in effect. This one has a target date of completion by mid-December, which really goes hand in hand with some of the conversation we had here tonight. The executive assistant will provide much needed, and this is already in effect, administrative help to operations manager to ensure proper documentations of projects from start to finish. In addition to that, so that's the contract procurement supervision section. So those are things that we are putting in place or are already in place to ensure that we are more successful in that area. I don't know if you want me to pause in between board or if you want me to just read through.
It says currently in effect, how long, Lauren? I mean, is this like recent, like since surveys come out?
This is probably more of a universal global question. Who's owning each of these items? Do we have a specific owner at the corporate level, at the local level? Who's going to have oversight and accountability? for each one of these?
Right. So ultimately, our town hall, if you will, our town hall staff. However, that is with our direct oversight. Detrius will be actively engaged in making sure that we are succeeding in these areas, along with myself having executive overview.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Finance, accounting, and cash management. Again, this was based on the comments, which again, the residents gave a lot of comments. I personally went through them myself, and there were a lot of great, rich feedback items there. With the board, with respect to the board, it was more numeric in response as opposed to comments. So some of this again goes to discussion after the fact if we need to. We believe the response to this area reflected prior issues. Again, this was an evaluation for the last 2 years of our performance. So there may have been things that were cited where we didn't perform, but we believe we're performing in this area now. Meaning that there were issues sending timely assessment notices out to the community, and the financial manager, Jennifer Rowe, who is here beside us today, she is now spending time with the finance committee. That was not prior, that wasn't happening previously, again, throughout our 2 years that we've been here. And she's now at the community for 1 week each month and attends all finance and monthly board meetings. So again, there's no cost, and we added a column here, board, that you'll see in terms of cost, so we could identify if any of these things are even going to cost anything, or if they're just a change of procedure. So again, here we believe we've resolved things. However, again, if there's more to talk about, we're happy to do that. And last but not least, we added committee support because we know this is important as well. We have updated the standard operating procedures for handling committee meetings. We've assigned accountability based on responsibilities as outlined in the updated SOP, which has been in effect since October 2nd and was distributed to the board. So again, no cost in the if you will, the improvement areas with respect to board and feedback. So those were the top 3 items that we are focusing on based on the feedback we received. Any questions, comments? Okay. Well, thank you very much for that.
Yes.
Okay, yes, go ahead, David.
So just to clarify what you have here, these are 3 big clusters. There are other items in the board evaluation that scored below a 3.
Not overall.
Not overall. With each section, there may have been items in each section, specific items.
Right. Like, again,
right.
You'll hear me talk about inspections
Mhm.
at a 2.6.
Yes, and that is, there's going to be crossover with respect to the resident action plans.
Right.
So perhaps after we go through those, then again, if there's something you feel is,
So this
is
from,
that
I
needs
just
to
want
be
to make
isolated, well,
sure that any particular item, I know we don't want to go through every single item, but want to make sure that those are all accounted for at some level.
yes, agreed. And again, if there's,
That's my, at least from the board perspective, all of those that scored below 3. No, I have that. That's what I'm looking at.
yeah,
Oh, you're looking at the summary for the whole category.
correct.
Yeah, and that was one of the problems with the scope of work. Covenants didn't get its due. We got 1 line out of 141 CROA items, 149 in the total. Covenants got 1 line, and it's a big deal.
Mhm.
Celebration.
Which we're addressing in
I
the
know
resident
that
part.
on the, right,
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly.
That's helpful.
Thank you, David. Yes, absolutely. And so, Lauren, I'll hand over the resident survey feedback piece to Lauren to go through for us.
So we prioritize these based on the kind of the heavy focus in the resident comments.
Lauren, I'm sorry.
We prioritize these based on the heavy focus based on the comments that were made and kind of the open-ended question. Obviously, one of the top priorities is custodial and general maintenance. One of those being landscaping. So we implemented weekly meetings with our 3 landscaping vendors. Rose meets with them from the service area perspective. Brian meets with them from the operations and CROA parks perspective. Jeff will be joining those meetings as well. Meetings discuss any deficiencies, issues, or bids necessary. They're all going to be required to attend the monthly board meetings moving forward if they have items on the agenda or if there are common issues in their area so they can be addressed to the community. Monthly vendor grading was started last month and moving through. We're adjusting the look of the form so it's a little bit more user friendly than the one that was posted last month. If they're not meeting expectations, then I'll have to hear period for their contract and possible monetary penalties for that as well. Monday.com was created with a dashboard for visibility, and that'll be posted on the website as well. We're also starting January going to do these training sessions walking with the vendor just because of the issues that we've been having lately. So we're pointing them out in real time and it's not getting lost in translation. Very similar with the pool vendors, weekly meetings with them to discuss deficiencies, issues, or bids. Monthly grading will be starting in December. Again, if they're not meeting expectations, they have a cure period of possible monetary penalties. We need to create that form and metrics based on the scope of work. So that could be published to the community as well. We're also talking about getting 3 staff members certified with their pool operator certifications as an added layer to ensure minimum downtime with the pools. If there's something off hour that would technically be an emergency call that one of our maintenance techs can address, then that will also reduce costs to the association as well and prevent problems from going on throughout the night.
What's going on with the spring park pool? Because it's not looking like it used to look. There's something on the wall, there's rust. It's not like it's not, I don't know, does the new company brush the walls and brush everything? Oh, I'm sorry. They do all that?
They do. One of the large pieces with Spring Park Pool is when they actually started utilizing the chemical feeding equipment. That because the prior company that you had was hand feeding chemicals into the pool. We started utilizing the equipment that you have that monitors the levels. We found that a lot of it was broken. That kind of harkens back to that letter that the pool company wrote. These are all the problems they're discovering when they came in their first 30 days. They're still working through that with Spring Park Pool. Spring Park and Lakeside are the kind of the worst conditions at this point. They're utilized the most. But it is something that will be addressed in their reviews. Jeff and I were also researching and soliciting bids from other chemical and equipment maintenance vendors to try to reduce costs, since you've seen chemical costs go through the roof this year. And frankly, the maintenance cost of your equipment is increasing because as your equipment is aging significantly. In terms of amenity cleanliness, obviously the 2 porters were added for the 2024 budget. Those positions are beginning in January. Jobs will be posted this week. That's already included in the 2024 budget. Currently, the maintenance team cleans the amenities in the morning, but obviously these are maintenance techs. They're not people that are focused on cleaning. We're using skilled labor to do unskilled work. Preventative maintenance, preparing a 2024 amenity projects, walking with vendors in preparation for RFPs to address large amenity painting projects, redoing bathroom floors, resurfacing pool decks. These are large reserve items for the most part. A 2024 action plan being established for the maintenance team that can be published to the residents. Performance expectations have been established for the team in terms of work quality, communication, utilization, development service on Monday in a manner that provides transparency of the maintenance team, daily tasks, for the community and the community. This will also, so there's 2 new SOPs that were issued to the maintenance team and the other teams that utilize Monday and Sella service and accountabilities clearly laid out. People will be held to their required and assigned tasks. General other town maintenance. we're working to improve our partnership with CDD and Lexington to address general community maintenance concerns. Obviously, with the tangled web of leadership and ownership and celebration, there's some lack of clarity in some residents who's responsible for what. So we just want to ensure, no matter who's responsible, that we're all working together as a team to make sure resident complaints are addressed timely and appropriately. Greg's here at the CROA board meetings to address concerns. We were talking about having a joint version of the town hall 411 with me, a Lexington representative, and my counterpart at the CDD being present, so we could all address joint maintenance concerns together with the residents as an option as well. We already instituted quarterly check-ins. Condo associations, we see a lot of those items on cell service as well.
Can I interrupt you? It says here instituting quarterly check-ins with the Celebration Condominium Association managers. Can we please add to that at least the board of those separate associations be included in that?
Management and board.
Management and board, because there's a lot of times that the association managers don't communicate with the board members, and there's nobody knows what's going on.
Who's going to be doing these check-ins? Previously, it's been the community manager, so it's going to be Jeff. The community standards manager joins in as well to, for covenants purposes.
I think there's an updated list of all board members from the different associations.
Yeah. So yes, we can include the board in those meeting invitations. Generally, they involve us walking the community with the management company. The playground, we all are up to date on that one in terms of needing to get additional bids. Pools under recreation as well, but also fall under the same category as general maintenance. In terms of customer service, email responsiveness, daily audits of the CRNet email boxes to make sure emails are getting responded to within the 24 to 48 hours. There's a report from CRNet. We're trying to see if there's a report from CRNet to see if there's a response timeliness report, so we can ensure we're meeting that 24 to 48 hour period if we're not, rather than somebody just getting the completed button.
So the standard response for an email or phone call message, is that 48 hours? Is that your standard?
We aim for 24 business hours.
I say 48 is kind of long. Yeah, I was just wondering.
Yeah, by the end of the next business day.
Again?
By the end of the next business day.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Faster is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When their voicemails, do they say that? Do they say,
Their ongoing message said,
yeah, I'm not at my desk right now. Please leave your name and number, and we'll call you back as soon as possible. Within. Where I was, I think.
it does not say within a time frame. We can update that though. That's it.
Yeah, because I think I remember saying, people never call me back. That I think I remember saying a lot of those kind of comments.
So in terms of voicemail responsiveness, we can run a report to see how many voicemails are still sitting in the team members' voicemail boxes. So if they have a large number of voicemails still in their box, my assumption will be that they have not responded to them, because then you would have deleted it, had responded to them. So we can address those separately with the staff. Team member knowledge was another item on this customer service piece. So we're going to implement cross training for all of the team members that answer the.
I'm so sorry. Don't hate me. Is there any way that you can that you can insist that people empty their their voicemail before they leave? I mean, can they stop their clerical stuff, like at 5 o'clock, listen to their voicemails so they can kind of prioritize them. So first thing in the morning when they come in, they can start, if there's something like urgent, they could get back sooner rather than later to that person.
Yeah, I can request that.
Yeah. And then that'll help maybe. All right.
That's a good, it's a good. it's a
That
good
makes a process question. We generally commit to finish the meeting at 8 o'clock. I'm about physically spent, not emotionally, physically. All of this is important. I'm sorry that this started late. But I am going to excuse myself if you want to keep going, but I'd like to know two items, not on the list. You don't have to look at anything. One is I have lots of handwritten comments. How would you, rather than engage in discussion, because that'll take us at least another hour or so, which I can't do. How would you like those handled? And second, what would be the next step? Now that we will have received this and digested it, and then at least I will give feedback. I can do that tomorrow or Friday to whomever. I mean, I'll send it to Lauren and Stacy and the board, and you can do that. But what would be a next step? Would this be you said, Stacy, earlier, this is like a work in progress. So this is not a moving target, but it's fluid. Thank you. Would this be on the agenda at our next meeting to talk about any remaining issues, or what might that look like? It doesn't need your involvement necessarily, Stacy. But what might that look like? What is our next step once you get all the feedback?
I have thoughts, but I don't want to step on Lauren if there's something you wanted to put out there first. Go for it. Yeah. So ideally, right, we're going to get these things done, right? We're going to agree that we've hit the target. Let's start here. Okay. Again, we know this is going to evolve. Right, but we need to start somewhere.
Right.
So my recommendation is we start with this list, or we start with, right, approval is a strong word, but acknowledgement that yes, this is our starting point. Yeah. And then the next step is we need to then find out how we're doing, which then in our mind is, and that's it's here in the document, is surveying. Again, getting a pulse survey. How are we doing? Right? Because that's the best way to know. So that's the overarching plan, right? And then in the meantime, Beatrice is going to be working with the team to make sure that these things are getting done. Does that help?
Yeah, that's helpful. So let me make a couple of last comments. One is from an overall perspective, when I got this and read it, forget my comments. I like what I'm seeing. So I want that heard. I like what I'm seeing. I have a lot of suggestions about implementation. I know that's where we're going. So I have a lot of suggestions on the survey piece and so forth. I think I only saw it once. I didn't do a word search, but I saw the word metric. And you're referencing that. I would love to see more reference to metrics. How do we know if we're hitting that target? How do we know if we're getting it done adequately and appropriately? Anyway, so I'll provide some written comments. And I'll take my own trash. I'm just exhausted, and I'm up at 6. So
thank you for your
thank you
for your comments, and I'll look forward to the written notes
You will
so
get
that we can
in the next 2 days.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, David.
So let's run. Oh yeah.
Are you talking, Carol?
Yeah, I was trying to find it. So are we still going through it? Or?
Again, you
I
guys
just wanted
all
to
have
pause,
had
that's
this.
all.
If you wanted to start commenting, you can.
But I think too, it's good for the residents to know, and thank you for those who are sticking around. We know it's late, and there's also some folks online.
No, I'm happy to publish this to the residents so they can review it and see it if you guys want to get to board comment.
I think that they captured just about everything that you had in your suggestion. Did you see anything did you have any thoughts that flaring out to you that I missed?
I thought it was pretty good. I really did. I really did. I was impressed just at a first read through. It looks good. It smells good. Does it taste good? You know, are we going to be able to execute on it? And that's the question. Accountability and oversight is going to be key.
What'd you say, Tom?
Accountability and oversight. And who's going to be handling each one of these? And David said, what are the metrics associated with these? And how are we going to be checking in on those? And what's the cadence you need from us too? You know, meeting once a month may not cut it. You know, emails probably aren't great. So we need to sort through how this is going to be reported to us and the community. Obviously, a lot of these points did come to be surveyed. What I saw that I like, I've said this a few times in some of the meetings, I saw some thought leadership in here. I'm going to direct this at the C-suite too, sitting behind me. Thought leadership. Thought leadership. I've seen things that, you know, you're leveraging your expertise. You're leveraging what you do in the industry. You're talking to other communities. You're talking to other, you know, communities. And I think we've been missing a lot of that. And so I'm seeing this, and it's pleasing to me. So that's number one. The one thing I would say though, and there's some proactive references here, that a lot of it is reactive, right? A lot of it is reactive. So as we go through this exercise, how are we going to get in front of these going forward? How are we not going to let this happen again? How are we going to sustain this? So once we get in front of these, once we have the maintenance squared away, once we have the amenities clean, how are we going to continue that going forward? Because we don't want to be in this position again. We really don't. So are these sustainable, or is this just a one and done? So that's, I'm going to assume it is. There's a lot of thought put into this. Yeah, resurveying. I think that's going to be important again, just to see how are we doing. What can we do better? But I think overall, I'm pleased with this. I'm really pleased too with adding the column on the right.
Yes.
With the cost, because I think that's what we want to try and do. We want to try and leverage process inefficiencies. We want to try and fix those. We want to try and use what we have, our staff. We talk about the covenants, stuffing envelopes, you know, things like that. We don't, you know, we really don't want to drive the cost up where we can avoid. But that's the type, you know, I think we can pretty quickly fix that. We can have discussions. You know, it's additional staffing, that's a different conversation. But process inefficiencies, different ways of working, innovation, different ways that communities are doing things. Let's have conversations about that. But my reaction is positive right now. But it can quickly change, you know, if we're not hitting these milestones, we have to execute on them. So that's my message to you and the C-suite behind me, you know. All right.
Thank you, John. Jared, do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
No, I appreciate all the commentary here. I don't have any feedback.
If you see something though that you wanted to make sure gets instituted that's missing, please let us know. I want to make sure that we're, yeah.
I guess I'll say, I mean, everyone knows I'm big on the contracts and then the policies of that. So I want to say that I don't understand why we keep not getting the proper bids and we're not following with our contractors and everything's properly. But also, I don't want to hold Grand Manors accountable for that if the board doesn't feel that that's an important thing and they're going to go against our own guidelines and bylaws and everything. So I'm not going to hold you accountable for that if the board won't do that collectively.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And one of the action items is that we'll be doing by mid-December is putting together a standard protocol for contract procurement and sharing that with the board based on small, medium, and large projects. And we will all, you know, review that, adhere to that, and that'll be the standard going forward. Because I agree with you, Jared. That's something we have to improve on.
I'd like to talk about communications a little bit. There's so many things, well, not so many, but every once in a while, something is shared with the community that a simple spell check would have helped. That, and then it seems to be, there should, like, say, like, if you're talking about it, like, when I took journalism, say who, what, when, where, how, in your article, and you're writing. There needs to be something like that, with communications about events and things like that, because sometimes they'll talk about everything, but they'll miss something important. That there has to be some kind of
I believe that's one of the training items we captured, right? Yes, so we agree with that, and we're going to be looking at training opportunities for improving our communications methodologies here, because we hear that loud and clear. And that goes to professionalism, which was captured in the survey.
Jackson had comments about that too. When he was here, he talked about, building high performing teams and all that. And I thought that was really important. So I'm glad you put that into it. I thought that was really good feedback.
Another thing that we talked about the day that we had the community here was people don't know where to go to look for anything. And there's information on CRNet, there's information on the website, and maybe the website gets updated, but CRNet doesn't. And is there a way to, to like turn off CRNet and say, go here?
That's, that document as well, and yes, part of the technology mapping.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yes, that's part of it, yes.
There was also that discussion of removing.
The corporate phone number
Yes,
from
that's in here.
that's in there.
The Texas call center?
Yeah.
That's in there as well.
Yeah, that phone number is published on, we'll call it some historical documents and other places, and we already have what we call a ticket into our IT team to help get rid of, or replace, I should say, help replace it with the town hall phone number.
I got nothing else.
When you do onboarding for your new employees, is that more company based or is it celebration based?
Both.
Something that should almost be like a welcome packet for new employees that have to do with celebration. There is.
Yeah.
It's like 140 pages.
Oh, I guess you would know.
Yes.
I
just went through it.
And then, so it's like an employee handbook and here you go, or do you come back?
No, so along with that is a 100-day checklist that goes into great detail in what you should be doing, who you should be meeting with, who you should be training with, who you should be following up with. And there's also 30, 60, 90-day check-ins where you have a survey to fill out as to what's working, what isn't working, what you'd like to see more
You have
information
a
on.
survey?
They send it to the
Really?
at each stage. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense.
That's like a cultivation training? Is that like, so you, what does that look like? I've never seen that.
It's our 100-day onboarding plan that we have, yeah.
Okay.
And in celebration, they have, in most communities, they have a mentor that's a like-sized person. In celebration, they have a corporate mentor. In Jeff's case, it's one of our decans, and they have a local mentor that helps get them used to the celebration works.
Okay. I like that.
So where do you think the comments, if that's the case, which that sounds wonderful, where do you think all those comments about, I call there and nobody knows what they're talking about comes? I can't get any answers.
So, well, in the last few months, you've had all of your revolving door with your front counter. Those are the ladies who answer the phones. They're the triage for everybody. They have to be transferred to whatever department is responsible for it. And sometimes the people in that department are already on the phone or out in the community doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's why we're doing this cross training. They all have desk manuals that they've been updating through the end of the year as one of our practices that we implemented in town hall last year. So that will help in the cross training piece, but it's really when you call in and you're getting the front counter, when it's a revolving door and they're in their first 60 days, there's too much for them to figure out and know with the Parks and Rec facility rentals, can I rent the tennis courts? When's the, fall or when's the winter concert? Do I talk, can I put this on my house? Do I have to fill out an ARC application for this? So I mean, yes, there is some cross training that needs to be done.
Do they have like a simple little, like an A sheet? Okay.
And that's where too, you're expected to do with your other properties. If there is something working, there's obviously, there may not be other communities like us, but there's turnover, there's constantly, knowledge leaving and coming in, and there has to be a way to transfer that knowledge in some repository, in some way to, capture that. And it's understood, but, residents, we don't want residents to obviously feel the brunt of that. We need to make sure we get in front of that. And we're seeing it in the survey, obviously, but,
Yeah,
what are the tools?
right, agreed. And to answer that, which is unique for Celebration, and we understand why, is that a majority of the calls go to our resident services group in Texas.
Yep.
And they have the ability to search in the community portal to see what those answers are, right? So that team's used to having to handle, right, that kind of volume and question triage. So again, we're not saying we recommend that, but that's the difference.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think we can.
Yeah, and what we're gonna, again, the plans here is the cross training. We'll work too. I think one of the things we could do is see what kind of FAQ sheet they're using, how easy is it to navigate? Maybe there's an opportunity there.
And technology website, if there are self-service things, that's where proactive thought leadership, you can put things on the website to reduce your calls or redirect them here or get in front of that. Let's hear that. And things that don't need to maybe come in front of the board, just your day-to-day stuff, your blocking and tackling, let's just get in front of that so we don't have to experience this again. And that's what we expect. That's what we expect. That's why we have here. So, get in front of that, I think we'll be okay.
Trying to think what you could do or what we could do to help you. Yeah, go ahead, Nikki. There was quite a disconnect between how the board felt you were doing and how the residents feel that you're doing. And I think you're right that, 2 years ago, everybody was getting 6 violation letters at one time and all that kind of stuff that kind of sticks with you. I'm trying to think what's the best way to turn that around, because these are very subtle things that I don't think that most people are going to notice a difference in, unless it affects just them. I'm trying to think of how to change the perception of the community.
Well, I think part of it's just the proof is in the pudding. Is when they're not seeing those mistakes, they'll start to fade away over time, and they're seeing improved service. That would be the hope and the ideal. The other piece that we've been discussing is some educational kind of campaigns of, this is the covenants process, because, some of the comments in there were, why do I have to respond in 14 days? Why is Grand Manor sending me this so they can pay money? Well, the 14-day process was developed by, I think it was an advisory or the covenants committee, and the CROA board approved it. And this is the process that we have to follow, and, and utilizing our community members to help engage in that process. We talked about utilizing committee members to do like a 3-minute short video of, hey, did you know this about covenants? Or, hey, did you know this about ARC? So to address some of those confusion areas that we saw in the comments that were causing some of the angst or the negative thought process. I mean, I'm never going to be able to go back and undo the fact that somebody got 22 covenants letters about the same covenants violation. I mean, in terms of correcting that, in terms of correcting that perception, I mean, we need to move forward and provide better service and do better forward.
But to your point, there are some things that we can control. And I'm going to give you 3 things you're not going to like to hear. Lot D, Celebration Hall, lawn sports. All these things, as they were coming on board, let's just call it like it is. We need to let you focus on what you need to focus on, which is the day-to-day management. Okay. Now, through the master plan advisory group, hopefully there will be some relief. Hopefully we will be able to let that group do what they do, read the recommendation.
What's that got to do with, what is latte and Celebration Hall and lawn sports?
How much time did you spend? How much time did you spend?
It took a significant amount of time out of my day, the community manager's day, to the bulk of my week was Lot D, Celebration Hall, lawn sports, and Lot E converting into the pickleball SME group and that whole RFP process. When I mean, in an ideal world, in our first year here, we should have been focusing on stabilizing operations. Instead, we were playing that whack-a-mole. Honestly, half the time we're still playing whack-a-mole because we haven't had the bandwidth and time frame to stabilize operations. We're starting to get to that point. These things are things that have been honestly on the back. A lot of these things have been things that have been on the back burner for a while because we've just been playing whack-a-mole. We finally have a community manager who is capable of taking a lot off my plate. He'll be handling your board meetings moving forward, which will allow for some of this larger project and staff development and succession planning that's going to address a lot of these issues.
So to what you're saying, Charles, about latte and lawn sport, this was started, those projects were started in 2021. She came on board at November of 2021 and was thrown Celebration Hall in her lap. So
That's what
these
he's saying.
projects, no, but those 2 projects were previous projects that she inherited. But are you following my time frame? Like,
They follow all of these. My point is,
he's saying
in an
it's
8-hour day,
your point.
in an 8-hour day,
Yeah,
for a management company that's trying to come on
right.
and learn.
Yep.
And look, this goes both ways. The board employee did several of these survey responses, but also, and I said this in the meeting before, what I would have expected of a management company is to persevere and to get in front of these and, hey, we need help. We need you to stop pushing Lot D. And you can have that conversation with us. We need you to focus on this. We need you to focus on that. Have that conversation with us. Tell us, in an 8-hour day, if I'm spending 7 hours on Lot D, you need to come to us and you need to tell us, stop focusing on Lot D. We need your attention on the tools. We need your attention on projects. And this is, I'm looking at you both too, okay? Because you were complicit in this, in Lot D and these other things. And Celebration Hall,
But it started in 2021.
well, you could have stopped it. We could have stopped it at any point in time. We continue to go on. We continue to just push these activities.
Okay,
And we don't deliver right. Do we have lawn sports? Do we have pickleball? Do we have Celebration Hall? None of those. We have none of those.
Well, but
We have a management company that's getting this feedback.
In our
That's-
defense, and I know you don't like to hear this, there was a lot of her time that was being taken up that none of us knew that what they were doing.
And it's on us to fix it.
Well, I mean, but I'm just saying, it was because she was taking, she was doing as she was asked.
She was doing it.
We didn't know, we didn't know. A good example is they were told to put together a pro forma on turning the theater into a venue where you could have concerts and blah, 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 blah. It was just mentioned off the cuff at a meeting. It's like, what? I thought maybe it would just be on a single page. It was like 8 different spreadsheets that somebody had worked on. This is what it'll cost you to run food and beverage. This is the kind of talent you need to hire. We didn't know any of that. They were doing any of that
And
stuff.
why did you do that?
we were given directive by the board president.
But I realize hindsight is 20/20, but that's.
Yeah.
But you don't know what you don't know. You know, I understand.
I think we're all saying, I'm just gonna, I think we're all saying the same thing, right? We're all saying the same thing. And I appreciate, Charles, what you're saying, because I think it's important too that everybody hears that management works at the pleasure of the board. We say that, like, if we had $1 for every time we said that, right? And at the same time, we also have to be great business partners and work together, right, to solve for the betterment of the community, right? And I think that in open forums like this, we have to have those discussions so that nothing is behind a curtain or from one voice. And that's how we'd like to proceed going forward. That is how we should work together. So I appreciate what you're saying. And I appreciate having been here since the very beginning, knowing the 3 different board dynamics that existed, right? Going forward has to be a different vision.
Yep.
That's all.
Right, and we can't go back and fix, we can't go on, undo what's happened with the playgrounds either.
I agree.
We just have to move forward with that.
Look, a lot of this is boil over. So, you know, but again, as long as we've got the right people, the right attention, the right focus, I think we can persevere. I think everyone's on the same page. So.
And we, you know, we invite you, speaking for myself and I think everybody, Lauren, if you are getting bogged down by a certain project, or I'm gonna say a certain, a board member that just keeps bugging you or whatever, and you can't concentrate on what you need to, you know. I mean, I would have a
That's
problem.
tricky to say, though. That's tricky to say, though, because what if it's you? Who is she going to tell?
To say Lauren and I have the kind of relationship that she said, Cindy, I need you not to bother, not that I bother her a lot, but I'm going to be working on this or
Okay,
that.
but what you're saying is different than what you just said. You're not holding yourself to the same standard there.
I think what we need Lauren to do, you're going to have to push back on us.
There you go.
You're going, and all 6 of us, you're going to have to push back. You're going to have to tell us what you need. You do a good job of that, but if there's time that's being wasted or time that's not furthering what we need as a community, you gotta push back.
I'm happy to do that. And I just, for the record, I do want to say, for the walls in my office, there were many a day where Jackson and I were screaming at each other, and Stacy got a phone call because we were disagreeing. So I'm not opposed to disagreeing with the board members, and you and I have had our disagreements. And I'm happy to push back.
Yeah.
Good. And I would just add a little, consultation on top to what Jared was saying. And I will throw this out there, putting myself in Lauren's shoes. I think it's a healthy thing for her to address with the board, right? Cindy has been, right, as an example, Cindy's been in my office. She wants us to go forward with this, and we're going to put it to a motion for all of you to talk about, right? So that's, to me, the right protocol going forward as well. And for everyone to know, in our contract, it does state that the president provides direction, and that's for a reason, not saying that has to be end all be all, but that's so we're not getting 6 different or 7 different priorities, right? So the idea is that it's a collective voice coming through the president on what the priorities are. That doesn't mean, again, it has to be black and white, but that provision's in the contract for that reason.
That's what got us in trouble.
And that has caused issues in this case. But to your point, Jared, I think we just have to be comfortable bringing those things forward to the table so that everybody is aware of what's happening.
And, it does, like I said, it doesn't bother me. I'm an adult. I've been in, I've worked in business. I have a very good relationship with, I think, everybody in town hall. So I don't have a problem with anybody saying, hey, cut me some slack. I got something else to do, or I'm working on this for Charles, that's priority. So anyway.
Yeah. On a good note, sitting on the board previously, getting our finance reports and waiting 3 months behind.
Oh, but that doesn't happen.
That used to happen. So thank you, Jennifer, for getting everything to us when we have to. So when we're in May, we're still not waiting for March's finance. And that's happened, and it happens a lot. So thank you for that.
Okay, that was a,
History.
yeah.
Can't go
I
back, gotta move
But I
forward.
mean, but that was a yeoman's to get all that straightened out.
So what are the next steps with the action plan? We're gonna publish it,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the community.
Yeah, so in my email that I sent to the community on Wednesday, I promised that I would kind of inform the community of what was generally discussed at the meeting.
Okay.
And I'll post this on the website and link everybody to it. And we'll go from there.
Do you have a timeline on getting the website completely updated with minutes and all that kind of stuff? Is that on somebody's radar?
What's that?
That's been updated periodically by Liz,
Yeah.
and I make sure
Okay.
that I check in with her every week to make sure that the information is updated. Anything that's delayed, we usually send an email and get a justification for why it's delayed.
I'm getting the impression that there's some older documents that are missing.
We can do an audit again. I think,
I thought
they had gone back, but we.
Well, I don't know. I just seems to me that's what I was hearing. Or maybe it's in one place and not, and somebody's looking in one place and it's actually in the other place or whatever. But-
Even the MPAG meeting, the MPAG meeting from last week hasn't made it up to the website from last Tuesday.
I thought Jose uploaded.
So the
video.
MPAC meeting videos were uploaded yesterday afternoon, and they're on the website. On both videos are on YouTube, and the documentation was handed over to Liz for upload.
So they
And they're there.
are uploaded or they're in Liz's hands?
The video is uploaded. That I took care of.
Okay.
And it's accessible via the website. The documentation that usually gets handed over to communications, and they upload it on the webpage.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bill, you have anything you want to add?
No, I think it's all been hashed a lot at the moment.
Okay. I hope you feel better.
Thanks.
Anybody, Jared, any closing remarks? And you're going to be checking, when you say mid-December, you're kind of give us an update on how you are with things and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Good. Charles, anything?
Nothing from me.
Thank you.
Celia?
And this is not a fun conversation, but necessary conversation, so thank you.
Wow, we appreciate the conversation.
Oh,
Thank you all.
Hey, what do you think about having maybe like a quarterly, everything you wanted to know about covenants, but we're afraid to ask, kind of a thing, and make it, have the punching cookies or something. I mean, just people like food. I mean, just something for people like just kind of
It's something we can talk about as part of our engagement piece, but I think part of that also needs to partner with the committee and getting them engaged to help. I mean, it's one thing to come from the management company, but it carries a different weight if it's coming from a fellow resident that's sitting on the committee and saying, this is what we're looking at, this is why we make these kinds of decisions.
absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, and then maybe that would draw people in. And I know the covenants committee as it stands now would be all over that.
They're a good committee.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do we, Charles has made a motion to adjourn, second?
Second.
I'll make it. Jared, okay. Good, sure. Okay, thanks, everybody. Good night. Oh, yeah.